Thank you very much, Mark. What a lovely evening we have here in the northeast. An autumnal light illuminating the glass and steel roof of this huge stadium, which dominates the skyline, of course, in the city of Newcastle, the cathedral of football around these parts. And it's not been a bad start to the season, has it, for Alan Pardew's men? The manager has been given a new 8-year contract, and they can dream of doing what they did last season when Newcastle beat Manchester United 3-0 in this game back in January. And Newcastle are unbeaten in their last 3 league games against Manchester United, home and away. Both teams are out on the field. The referee is Howard Webb. He's inside the centre circle with his 2 assistants. And I just feel, Pat Nevin, a little bit of pressure on Manchester United today. I know they won during the week in Europe, but that defeat last weekend to Tottenham will be very much in their minds.
Yeah, a little bit of pressure. There's always a lot of pressure, actually, in Manchester United because they're expected to win every week. The good thing about them is they don't mind it. They like it. They live with it, and they love it. And you talk about pressure. Oddly, I was watching the players lining up there, and they're walking past each other, shaking each other's hands, and they've always got a serious look in their face. Wayne Rooney had the biggest, cheesiest grin I have ever seen, and he's usually quite serious-minded before games, so I wonder what... He seems to be in a very positive frame of mind today, and he's playing with a group of players that he will love playing with, so that's why he's positive, I think.
Wayne Rooney generally enjoys playing against Newcastle. He's scored against them 9 times since he's joined Manchester United. But the club, if they were to lose today, the visitors, it will be 3 defeats in their opening 7 league games. And that's not happened since 89-90, when they went on to finish in mid-table. So Manchester United, who we all know are traditional strong finishers to a top-flight season, but they've got to be careful here not to get off to a slower than usual start.
On the other hand, if they win today, they're right up with Manchester City on the coattails of Chelsea. So I think what that says, it's an important point. It's a big 3 points that the confidence will course through the squad again. You know, there have been a few hiccups in the start here, but I don't think I'm particularly worried in the long term about Manchester United. But don't get too far behind.
It'll be Newcastle to get the game started. Demba Ba, who's been in the goals lately, just standing inside the centre circle along with Papi Cissé, who's only scored once this season, but it did come against Manchester United in the League Cup in terms of domestic. So just as we prepare to get started here, and in fact the game does get underway, let's go for a quick update from the cricket, and here is Alison Mitchell.
Well, a game of 2 halves, you might say here, because the West Indies have somehow got themselves up to a total of 137 for 6 off their 20 overs. They'd scored only 32 off the first 10 in their innings. Lathith Malinga's figures taken a battering, 0 for 54. Marlon Samuel 78 off 56, single-handedly giving the West Indies a total which will prove competitive. Sri Lanka need 138 to win.
Thanks, Alison. Commentary of that is available on our sister station 5 Live Sports Extra. Here on 5 Live, we're concentrating on the Premier League. Earlier on today, Southampton 2, Fulham 2, and this is the 4 o'clock kickoff. Newcastle United against Manchester United. We've got reporters at Liverpool and at Tottenham. We'll keep you up to date with anything that happens in those games. And this is Johnny Evans on the edge of the penalty area, passing up to Tom Cleverley in midfield for Manchester United. And now Michael Carrick lays it out into space for Raphael on the right-hand side. Back along the halfway line to Cleverley, into Carrick. Looks to return the pass, and it's picked up now by Van Persie. He picks out Raphael again on the right-hand side. Manchester United playing from right to left as we look down. The red shirts, the white shorts, and the white socks, and this is Patrice Evra, who's wearing the captain's armband, and he's in the left full-back position. Gives it in field again to Carrick, and once Rooney gets a touch here, now all outfield players have touched the ball for Manchester United in this game. Now, late challenge comes in from Tiote, clipping the heels of Wayne Rooney. Rooney's clearly not happy with it, goes over and speaks to the referee, who had already given the free kick, but Rooney felt the need to press the point even further.
There goes that smile that he started off with. Interesting, the way United are actually setting up. It will be adaptable, but it's actually a diamond in midfield. They're playing 2 up front, and more often than not, I think you'll find it's Welbeck will be up front alongside Van Persie with the other 4, a diamond behind, but it's very fluid. Whereas Newcastle, it's 4-4-2 or 4-4-1-1, with obviously Cissé and Ba one off the other.
Well, Wayne Rooney scored on his last visit to the northeast. That was against Sunderland last day of the season in May. It wasn't enough to win the title that day, and he's not scored in the Premier League since. This is Rio Ferdinand in the centre circle, out to Kagawa. who's taking up a position on the right wing to start with. Now Rooney gives it back to the Japanese player. Carrick helps it on towards Rooney again, and Manchester United dominating possession here in the early stages. Raphael has it a crossing position on the right-hand side, gives a heavy touch, shows too much of the ball to Ferguson, and Shane Ferguson is able to clear it up towards the halfway line. Newcastle won't hold on to it as Papis Demba Cisse is immediately tackled off the ball.
I think Ferguson would be delighted to get that first touch there at left full-back. As you mentioned earlier on, very few games for the first team. Really slightly surprised that Simpson didn't get a shout today.
Yes, Simpson, a former Manchester United player as well, I'm sure would have been relishing the opportunity to play against his former employers. Now that's a good throw by goalkeeper Steve Harper for Newcastle to pick out Gutierrez on the left wing. He's made it over the halfway line, and then just as he sent the pass, he was clattered into by Raphael. Referee says play on. Gutierrez slow to get back up.
Yeah, and slightly disappointed with Gutierrez there, because what he should do, the first opportunity there, straight at your fullback, find out if he can defend or not. He went inside and lost the ball.
Gutierrez, who was sent off against Manchester United last season in November it was, at Old Trafford. That was a 1-1 draw. Here comes Kagawa for Manchester United on the attack, right hand side, looks to send in an early cross, and Ferguson will put it out for the first quarter of the game. Newcastle United 0, Manchester United 0 on 5 Live.
Interesting, Alan specifically was talking before the game about the lack of width, and they're trying to get a little bit of width there from a natural wide man in Kagawa. But it's a slightly different style for United. It is slightly more through the middle than we're used to them playing.
Corner is taken short to the Japanese player. Back now to Van Persie. There's a cross into the box, and it was Mike Williamson who got underneath it for Newcastle, but they've not fully completed the clearance. Cleverly picks it up for Manchester United. Left hand side, Rooney outside him. Back to Cleverly once again. A bit more time now to get the head up, weigh up the options. Looks for Van Persie on the far side. Lovely cushioned header by Van Persie. Then a back heel by Evans. Brilliant build up, but a poor shot in the end of it as Welbeck just rolls it into the arms of the goalkeeper.
Right in the middle of that, Manchester United are playing lovely little one-touch, two-touch around the box, but now and again someone has to get their head up and play a long ball, and that ball there was phenomenal by Cleverly. Picks out Van Persie at the back post there. It was very memorable, very, very like Paul Scholes.
Yes. And from then on the move continued. Van Persie's cushioned header, a very nice back heel by defender Johnny Evans. And Danny Welbeck, who's still looking for his first goal of this season, will have wanted to do better from there. 0-0. Possession with Evans on the edge of the Manchester United penalty area. Give you a rundown of the teams in full. Harper, the Newcastle goalkeeper. Santon, Williamson, Perch and Ferguson are their defence. Gutierrez, Tiote, Cabaye and Ben Harfa in midfield. And Cisse and Demba Ba up front. The Manchester United team, De Gea in goal. It's Raphael, Ferdinand, Evans and Evra at the back. In midfield, Kagawa, Cleverly and Carrick. And up front, Rooney, Van Persie and Welbeck, who's had and spurned that first proper attempt of the game. Here is Kagawa, right-hand touchline, just 7 or 8 yards into the Newcastle half. Manchester United give it back to Carrick. Now a ball over the top. Welbeck's going to chase after this, but Harper was alert, steps out of his penalty area, gets there first and clears it back towards the halfway line. Controlled on the chest by Rio Ferdinand, who, as we all know at this stage, was not included by Roy Hodgson in the England squad. And I do wonder how surprised Ferdinand would have been by that decision, and we all know that it wasn't the right manner that he found out about it, but I wonder, given it's so long that he's been in the squad, would Rio Ferdinand really have been surprised that he wasn't called up?
Is it 16 months since his last game?
Well,
something like that, I suppose you get used to it after a while.
Here comes Evra on the left-hand side for Manchester United. Van Persie gives it back to the Frenchman, immediately closed down by both Ben Arfa and Cisse. Cleverly keeps the ball moving for Manchester United here. On to Carrick, picks out Kagawa, first time, looking for Rooney on the edge of the box. Williamson is there, and Newcastle clear it away. But we've played several minutes now. Newcastle haven't put 3 or 4 passes together yet, Pat.
And they certainly haven't been in the last third either. They really haven't. Has De Gea touched the ball yet? No. I don't know if he has. I can't remember him touching the ball yet. It's very noticeable. Newcastle are working really hard. They've got 2 men up front. They're trying to chase, defend from the front. But as soon as they lose the ball, you've got 8 men. You've got a sea of black and white there. And somehow Manchester United have to get through.
Carrick sends one long into the penalty area. Van Persie gets in around it, and he almost gets a shot in from a very tight angle as we welcome listeners tuned our way around the world on BBC's World Service to St James's Park in Newcastle, where a good ball over the top by Carrick looked to be too far in front of Van Persie, but he stretched in there and very nearly created something, as you say, Pat, hitting the post.
Very, very good run there, and good strength as well, and good pace to get beyond the defender there. It was an incredibly cute angle, in actual fact.
Off the feet,
Harper.
Off the feet of Harper, who was standing right beside the post. Here comes the corner, played in by Van Persie, headed into the back of the net by Johnny Evans. Only his second ever goal for Manchester United, direct from the corner from Van Persie, and it seemed to be a very free header for the Northern Irishman to put Manchester United in front. We've played 7.5 minutes. It's Newcastle 0, Manchester United 1.
Forget all the subtle intricacies of trying to get through the middle with all those clever players that Manchester United got. Good old-fashioned ball into the middle, right on the line of the 6-yard box there. And no one followed Johnny Evans there. Completely clear run on the ball. If you've got a totally clear run on the ball, when there's a mix-up there in the marking, something really went wrong there.
The goalkeeper,
Great
Harper,
header, by the way, mate.
got his hand to it, and that's the point he was just going to make. He wasn't going to save that, even by getting his hand to the right location. The power on that header from Johnny Evans, who scored his first ever goal for Manchester United against Wolves at the back end of last season. And here he is, rising high early on to put Manchester United in front here against Newcastle. Alan Pardew stands on the edge of the technical area, arms folded across his chest. And that 3-0 win over Manchester United from last season seems a long time ago now.
Well, I was going to say, if there's any neutrals in there, there's probably one somewhere. This is exactly what you need for an open game. Manchester United scored early because, as I mentioned before, Newcastle was sitting very, very deep. Well, can't afford to do that for the rest of the game now. Go for it.
This smokes them out, if you like, and already Ben Arfa has moved now to a more attacking position on this near touchline. The right-hand side as Newcastle come forward. Tiote has possession. Up until that goal pattern, we mentioned it in commentary, I'm pretty sure Newcastle won't have strung 3 passes together.
No, not getting it into the midfield at all. Had you mentioned Ben Arfa's name? I don't really know if you had. I mean, because they were not getting the ball down, they weren't passing it, and certainly have not looked at all a threat. The furthest I've seen them up the field with the ball with when Gutierrez went running through, that was still 40 yards away to go.
No, that's nice from Ben Arfa, gets away from Cleverly, does a little step over through Carrick, and then it's Wayne Rooney who comes sliding in a left full-back position. Ben Arfa was getting away from Evra, and Rooney popped up to stop him. Here comes Santon now, back to Ben Arfa, crossing position, right-hand side, he was off balance, hooks it in towards the far post anyway, but the ball had gone out of play, and that will be a goal kick to Manchester United. But that's the sort of positive response that Newcastle fans would have wanted to see from Ben Arfa.
Not just the fans, the man standing 20 yards in front of us as well, Alan Pardew. He was out there, and he was just pushing the entire team, the entire squad, get up the field there, push on a little bit tighter. And obviously they were quite fearful at the start of the game. It may well be that the tactic was to sit back and soak up pressure, but certainly the plan wasn't to lose an early goal.
So here comes Raphael for Manchester United on the right-hand side. They lead 1-0 here at Newcastle. That 1-2 with Van Persie's worked out very well. Raphael into the penalty area, goes for goal out wide. Welbeck in the centre will feel he should have crossed it, but the shot flashed across the face of goal, and a goal kick to Newcastle.
I'll tell you what, he's caught it with plenty of power. If it had nestled in the back of the net, you would have applauded him, but that's a very acute angle, and Welbeck was in the middle there. Now any centre forward worth his salt will be saying, excuse me, you're supposed to pass it to me in that situation. I put it across the box. It's a very decent shot though. He's caught it in the half volley. I would say it was 6 inches wide, no more than that. I wonder, would Raphael have tried exactly the same thing had it been Van Persie or Rooney in the middle? I kind of doubt it.
It does always interest me to hear players say that, because that's the kind of thing that goes through a guy's mind.
Oh yeah,
as he goes into the penalty area. Raphael, who has already scored this season, of course. Now what's Harper doing here? Being put under pressure by Welbeck, and then he tries to foul him, and Welbeck puts the shot wide with an unguarded net. And I think Steve Harper's very fortunate there. First of all, not to concede a goal, but then surely he was trying to foul Welbeck as Welbeck got the ball off him on the edge of the penalty area.
Welbeck was tackled by Harper there. He kept his feet. Unusually for many strikers, he kept his feet. If he hadn't kept his feet, Harper's off. 100%, no doubt.
Just to describe for the listeners, a back pass, there seemed to be no danger. Harper tried to dribble the ball out of his penalty area. Welbeck closed him down and tackled him. So then Welbeck had possession, and then Harper, trying to get the ball back once again, seems to trip Welbeck, who keeps his feet, as Pat says, and then misses the unguarded net and puts the ball wide.
Well, that last sentence, the important one. A totally and utterly unguarded net. Welbeck, I cannot believe. Oh, okay, slightly off balance there. But he's got time to get his balance back. He's actually got Van Persie in the middle for a tap in there, and he hits it past the post. That's a dreadful miss.
12 minutes played, 1-0 to Manchester United. Johnny Evans' header. This is cleverly inside the penalty area, shuffling it to Welbeck on the left-hand side. Newcastle have got plenty of bodies back, but Manchester United have the ball. Carrick can't move it forward. Rooney then, tackled by Tiote, but Manchester United hold on to possession. Rooney gets it back again. Newcastle really putting in plenty of perspiration here, trying to close down Manchester United, but it's the visitors who have the ball. Cleverly snapping at his heels is Kabaye. Play on, says the referee. That would have been a foul, but Rooney's coming forward, scoops it with the outside of his right boot, too far in front of Van Persie, who's got to scamper out to keep that in play on the far side. This is still alive for Manchester United. Kagawa 5 yards outside the penalty area, still at that right corner angle. Van Persie steadies himself, rolls it short to Kagawa. The return pass was poor. Raphael will stun the ball into the penalty area. Cleverly thought about the volley first time, and then he is fouled just outside the box, and it's a free kick in a very inviting shooting position now for Manchester United.
I suspect Cheick Tiote is a very lucky boy there. I think he caught cleverly. I think he left his leg in there. It could have been a very serious injury. Referee, well done, having a quick word with him just now, but once again it was cleverly. Got the free kick there, and as you say, a great position, and there's 2, 3, 4 Manchester United players that maybe fancy this one.
Howard Webb was right to say play on, and he is, as Pat says, then having a word with Tiote once play came to a halt. But Manchester United would have been very disappointed had that been blown up for a foul for the original offence on the halfway line.
Funnily enough, the assistant referee, who's right in front of us here, has got a clear view of it. He's 10 yards away, and that was a horrible challenge there by a Tiote. A horrible challenge.
End result, free kick to Manchester United. It's about 6 or 7 yards outside the penalty area, very much a central location. And guess who's standing over it? Both Rooney and Van Persie.
Just seen something I've never seen before, but I'll tell you about it after this free kick. Ben Arthur's getting a little bit of a word here from the manager. You would expect everybody to be back in a situation like this. Yeah. He's just talking to the manager in the halfway line.
It's going to be Rooney, and it's well saved by Harper. Rooney completely curling his shot beyond the wall. It was on target, heading for the top corner, and across came Steve Harper to dive and fingertip it away.
The only thing you could possibly say there, Rooney gets it up and over the wall, but there wasn't a great deal of pace on it, not a great deal of pace, and nice save by Harper. Tell you what, Harper needed that.
Yeah, Rooney went to place it in the top corner rather than drive it. Here is Rooney's corner. Manchester United scored for the last one of these, and now they've scored. And what about this? It's another defender. It's Patrice Evra who has scored with a header. Manchester United, 2 headers from 2 corners from 2 defenders, and they lead at St James's Park. Newcastle United 0, Manchester United 2.
Well, it was just moments before I was going to say there's real danger here for Newcastle. They are being frighteningly dominated by Manchester United here. They've hardly had a kick of the ball. They've been up the park once. It led to a really poor cross. Apart from that, Manchester United have had 2 goals, should have had a third, could have had the goalkeeper sent off, creating chances all over the place. This is a total and utter mismatch just now, and the marking in the middle there, once again, absolutely terrible. And I'm not too sure who it was. I think it may have been Cisse who was, well, I was going to say he was marking Evra. Well, he wasn't marking him, he was just watching him.
It's quite a rarity that. Patrice Evra has only scored 3 goals for Manchester United in the past, the most recent of them against Wigan 2 seasons ago. But he has scored here to double Manchester United's early lead, and they are 2-0 up after just 15 minutes. Let's go for an update from Tottenham against Aston Villa. Here's David Oates.
Where Tottenham have taken the lead. They lead Aston Villa by 1-0. Slightly bizarre goal. Bale's corner was very deep. It was chested down and then fired in, I thought, by Jermaine Defoe. Looking at a replay, Defoe's shot was going wide. It hit Stephen Colker on the ankle and deflected in. The Spurs tannoy announcer has given it to Colker. I'm not so sure that Defoe won't try to claim that, but the last touch definitely of Stephen Colker. Spurs 1, Villa 0.
And from David Oates at Tottenham to Dave Woods at Liverpool.
An hour played, it's still Liverpool 0, Stoke 0, but a wonderful Luis Suarez moment just a short while ago. Picked it up just inside the Stoke half. Powerful run up towards the edge of the penalty area, swerved past 3 defenders, and his shot wasn't far away, but it remains Liverpool 0, Stoke 0.
Newcastle United 0, Manchester United 2 here. on 5 Live as we go back to Colombo and the latest on the cricket from Ali Mitchell.
The West Indies are defending 137 for 6, and Ravi Rampal's first delivery has beaten the batter Tilakaratne Dilshan and hit the top of off stump. Dilshan out without scoring in the second over. Sri Lanka are now 10 for 1.
Thanks very much, Ali. Here at St James's Park, Newcastle are on the attack with Ben Arfa on the left-hand side. Oh, he's got around the defender into the penalty area, tries to pull it back, headed away by Ferdinand, only as far as Gutierrez, whose low shot is just wide of the post. And David De Gea, I'm not sure if he would have got there if that had been on target, Pat.
I'll tell you what, it was a great hit, but much better from Newcastle there. I mean, they're second best all over the field just now. There's nothing wrong with the work rate, but they're just playing in straight lines. They play in a 4-4-2 at the start, and in between those lines, players like Rooney, players like Cleverley will just damage them all over the place. That's the first time in the game they played a little bit more intelligently going forward, Newcastle, and it just shows you can get at Manchester United, but they have to do it more often. Newcastle fans are stunned in here, aren't they?
It's all over in the Aviva Premiership. London Welsh against Saracens. Here's correspondent Ian Robertson.
A win for Saracens over London Welsh by 28 points to 23, courtesy of 7 penalties and a conversion from Charlie Hodgson. He was the man of the match, and that's Saracens go joint second, 2 points behind the leaders.
Thanks very much, Ian. Newcastle United 0, Manchester United 2. Evans and Evra both with headers from a corner. The assists for Van Persie with a corner that came from the right-hand side, scored by Evans, and Wayne Rooney's corner was headed in by Patrice Evra. Before those goals, Pat and Evan, you said, now you're a man who's seen it all, you said you've just seen something you've never seen before. It's been busy ever since. We never came back to you.
It was just very, very odd. It was a free kick, and you've got Wayne Rooney, a world-class footballer, 22 yards out, and one of the players was standing down right in front of his talking to Alan Pardew. What are you doing to it? Get everyone behind the ball, get everyone marking up here. And of course, Wayne Rooney did get it up and over the wall. What about changing those and adapting those things afterwards at a slightly less important moment? What it did lead to was a change in the system, and at the moment what they're trying to do is Ben Arfa's gone over to the left wing. On the right wing here most of the time is Cisse with Bar up on his own, and it's a brave move when you're 2-0 down to go even more attack-minded.
We questioned the Newcastle defending for Evans' header. Seemed to be very much a free header. Patrice Evra must be one of the smallest players on the pitch. I think you've got problems defensively when he's scoring a header from a corner.
There was no attempt whatsoever. He actually ran, but that's a forward defending. And I do believe it was Cisse. I need to check. It was quite a distance away from us, but he just ran with him, didn't challenge him.
Here come Manchester United again. Kagawa won't be able to keep that in play though, and it's out for a throw into Newcastle, who just appear a bit shell-shocked to be 2-0 down so early.
Well, they sat back right from the start of the game, which, it's a brave thing to do against, Manchester United. But I suppose they were fearful of being just too open, and they have got a lot of attack-minded players on the field, but they didn't want to be opened up. The problem is they just invited United on.
This is Kabaye on the halfway line for Newcastle, gives it to Cisse, and now back with Santon, and Newcastle having to really work hard here just to hold on to possession. They retreat back to the edge of their own penalty area. Gutierrez picks it up in a holding midfield position. Both he and Tiote have been playing deep so far. This is Ferguson at left back. Should be pointed out that Newcastle are missing a lot of experienced defenders at the moment. Colaccini and Stephen Taylor amongst them, and that's going to be a foul on the far side and a free kick to Newcastle, a yellow card as well for Kagawa. Newcastle wanted to take the free kick quickly. Ferguson was already down, scampering on the wing, ready to cross it in, but Howard Webb is going to make them come back and take it from the correct
slightly harsh, I think
so.
Kagawa's first tackle, there was nothing violent about it. He made an effort for the ball, slightly mistimed it and tripped up. I don't know, I've seen a lot of slow motion in the monitors in front of us. He's missed it by a millimetre, the ball there. He's done his best, and it's no way dangerous. No one else is complaining.
I think it's definitely a free kick.
Yeah, but if you give it, I promise you, if you give a yellow card for every challenge at that, we'll be playing 5-a-side.
Right, Newcastle have got a free kick wide on the left-hand side. They have hardly threatened the Manchester United penalty area so far. There's been one Gutierrez shot that went wide. That's been it. Here comes the free kick into the penalty area, headed down by Van Persie, collected by Gutierrez. To his right-hand side is Tiote. This is 10-15 yards outside the penalty area. Now they work it to Ben Arfa on the right-hand side. A little shuffle from him, and then he completely overstrikes the cross, which shoots over everyone in the penalty area. Ferguson won't keep it in play by the corner flag, and I think that sums up Newcastle's attacking play so far.
And it probably sums up Ben Ben Arfa as well. He's such an important player for Newcastle. He wears the number 10 and he's a very, very creative player. But noticeably, he's been stuck out in the left wing now, not trusted to play in that more central area because they've been absolutely torn to shreds in there. They've got Gutierrez back in there who will work harder, will do more defensive work. And at the moment, Ben Arfa is slightly a liability for Newcastle.
Well, it's been a very comfortable start to this game for the visitors. Manchester United are leading 2-0 away here at Newcastle. We are midway through the first half, and Alan Green will talk you through the half-time on 5 Live.
Presumably Mike Ashley checked out if there are get-out clauses in an 8-year contract. Not that it's Alan Pardew's fault, but I mean his side are being comprehensively outplayed by Manchester United at the moment. Here's Gutierrez. On to Ferguson on the far side of the field, just short of the halfway line. Gutierrez again. Once more, Ferguson moving into the Manchester United half. And then he plays it back to Perch. And Perch to Williamson. Neither of those central defenders would probably be played if Steele and Taylor and Colaccini weren't unfit. Long ball hit forward by Newcastle. One bouncing it straight through to De Gea, who certainly has nothing to do.
He will not be breaking sweat yet. I'll give Alan Pardew his due. I'll tell you what, he's changed it 3 or 4 times.
Yes,
system-wise, he is doing everything he possibly can here to adapt it, and it's still very attack-minded. He's still got Ba and Cisse trying to push up forward here as much as possible, but they've made very few inroads.
My contract comment was only tongue-in-cheek. Here's Santon at right back today, trying to cross from the right, is blocked by Cleverley and goes behind for Newcastle corner. With nearly 24 minutes played here on 5 Live in the World Service. Newcastle United 0, Manchester United 2. And they're well worthy of that 2-goal lead, Manchester United. Cavey to take the corner. Both arms aloft, that's the signal. Can he deliver? Here it comes, right-footed, and it's played in low, goodness gracious, slashed over by Demba Ba, but it should have been on target. Another goal at Tottenham, David Oates.
Second goal for Tottenham, Alan, from Aaron Lennon. Saw the slightest of gaps, really, between the post and the keeper and drilled the ball in. Excellent solo goal. And that's 60 seconds after Bent and Zogbia came on for Villa, who were chasing the game. They're chasing it even more now. They're 2 down.
And to another David Woods. Any sign of a goal at Anfield?
No, still 0-0, but Sousa's gone off to a ripple of a standing ovation from Liverpool fans. But Joe Cole has come on, his first Premier League appearance since the opening day of the season. It remains Liverpool 0, Stoke 0.
Worryingly for Manchester United, Johnny Evans is receiving treatment. Now, Evans has had a problem recently with a dead leg. In fact, he was a doubt for this game, and he looks in some discomfort.
What actually happened there, he went out to close down the shot that was coming in, but he got his foot trapped in the ground, fell on his knee, overextended it. Now that would be more ligament worries you would have there. And he planted it in the ground, his knee planted in the ground. It's a very unusual looking injury. Now it doesn't look in too much distress just now, but it's whether he's hyperextended or not. We shall find out very soon.
Manchester United without Vidic, without Jones, without Smalling, though Smalling is on the verge of coming back, we're told. Evans is back on his feet, and hopefully for Sir Alex Ferguson, he'll be fine to carry on. Nearly 26 minutes played. It's overwhelmingly Manchester United in charge.
Yep, they're really comfortable just now, and I think Sir Alex would love to get the third goal. If you get the third goal, I think it's all over. There's no way Newcastle are going to come back from that. You don't think, the way they're playing just now, because they've got all the best players out on the pitch. It's not as if you look at that bench and think it's that strong. They've got Shola and Sami Amiobi to come on, but is it going to be much stronger than Ba and Cisse, who've had very little impact? Their
problems have been defensively, really, haven't they?
I have to say both of them will have to be. I think the manager have a little word about them, about their poor defending.
Players resumed. Evans is back on the pitch as the cross is swung into the Manchester United penalty area. Evra, one of the United goal scorers, heads it clear, but it's dropping to Cisse now. A couple of yards outside the Manchester penalty area. Wide to Tiote. Tiote down the right side. Watched by Cleverley and forced to retreat by Cleverley, and finally passes the ball back into his own half to Williamson, on to Tiote, and now to Gutierrez, who are expecting to play wide left, but he's in a central midfield position at the moment. On the far side, and Ferguson, the left back. Ferguson back now to Ben Arfa. Ben Arfa taps it past Raphael, but guess who's tracking back there to help out? Rooney. And Rooney blasts the ball into the stand.
And he's tracked back well in this game. He's, no one ever questions his work rate generally, but I'll tell you what, something happened just a moment ago there. Tiote got the ball, and you said, he had to go far back. There wasn't one Newcastle player showing for him.
No,
not one.
Not an option.
That shows that there's a lack of confidence. A little kerfuffle over there, Alan.
Yeah, well, Van Persie committed a foul. I don't think it's any big deal, and it shouldn't be yellow carded. But Hardware's making a big thing of ticking off Robin Van Persie, and the Newcastle fans wanted him booked.
Yeah, I think Gutierrez was upset simply because he got a knee in the back of his calf, but it was unintentional.
Yeah.
Van Persie fell as he went into tackle.
So it's Cabaye to take the free kick. It's almost level with the edge of the Manchester United penalty area, wide in the Newcastle left, and Newcastle badly need a goal back, trailing Manchester United by 2-0 here on 5 Live in the World Service. Cabaye is going to hit the free kick right-footed, swirling in towards De Gea's goal, and it's well defended by Rio Ferdinand, heading it clear on the far side of the field, and it's out of Kagawa for a throw-in to Newcastle, and the throw goes to Ferguson. Tap back. Here's Cabaye, swings the ball in again. Rooney back in his penalty area, heading it clear, and cleverly knocks it upfield. Welbeck chases after it. Ben Arfa better react quickly, and he does eventually realise the threat behind him and plays it back to the goalkeeper, Harper.
Yeah, a little bit more heartening for Newcastle, though. They've had a couple of minutes now where they've got into the opposition area. They seem to have calmed down slightly. The passing's improved a little bit. But you know what? You need to be brave. It's not just about tackling, it's about wanting the ball. And for me, that's just not been enough wanting the ball, particularly the front players, to be fair.
Earlier in the 1:30 kickoff, Southampton 2, Fulham 2. Spurs leading Villa 2-0 in the 3 o'clock kickoff. And here's going to be a second yellow card for Manchester United. Shown to Rio Ferdinand for a foul committed on the halfway line.
Well, I think it was within his rights, the referee, to give a yellow for that, even though Ferdinand immediately tried to make the challenge, knew he slightly mistimed it, apologised and said, that's my first tackle. And, I suppose the referee, I just to give him that one.
It's just to wrap up the news in the Barclays Premier League. Liverpool 0, Stoke 0. That, like Tottenham, was a 3 o'clock kickoff, thanks to the Europa League. Newcastle free kick taken. It skips off the top of Johnny Evans' head. His header, that foot looked high by Tiote, but Hardware allowed it. It's only half cleared by Manchester United. Santon runs forward, ran into Cleverly, and typical. The ball comes out of Cleverly, immediately puts his hand up as if it's to say, my throw-in. Do you think we're all fools? Santon throws the ball, and then it's wasted by Ben Arfa, and Cleverly clears. Cleverly. Ferguson on the far side for Newcastle. Dreadful cross in. Cleared by Rio Ferdinand to the halfway line. It's bouncing towards Santon. Van Persie, foul challenge, and I think he now will be booked. He is going to be. Tiote, what is Tiote getting involved for? He's an argument waiting to happen, that Newcastle player. Van Persie is going to be dealt with, and he's shown the yellow card.
Yeah, there is no reason to do that, no necessity to do that. But what you will say, there's a number of Newcastle players, and Tiote more than anyone else, who's very frustrated at the moment. They're probably very angry at the moment. It's not an excuse, Alan, but that's just why he's reacting that way. I'll tell you what, Tiote, you get a bit of a cheek, because you had a far worse tackle.
Bad boy.
You had a far worse tackle on Cleverly earlier on there. Still, that's 3 yellow cards for United.
Yeah, and none for Newcastle, but importantly 2 goals for Manchester United. Sir Alex Ferguson asking Kevin Friend what that was all about. Kevin Friend, the 4th official. Cabaye to take a free kick from the Newcastle right. Hit right-footed. Played too deep. De Gea should get that. Oh goodness, he made a right hash of that, and he's looking to get a goal kick.
I'll tell you what, and the Newcastle fans are furious. They feel De Gea got something on it. I have to say, I'm in with the referee in that one. I thought there was absolute clear Newcastle header there. But I'll tell you what, you're 2-0 down, you're against Manchester United, you're looking for any little bit of hope. I think we all know where the hope is. They're going to put it on top of De Gea time and again, because he didn't look impressive.
Well, that's what I was saying before kickoff, when De Gea got the nod ahead of Lindegaard. I had assumed wrongly that it would be Lindegaard in the Manchester United goal because he's better in the air.
I was actually chatting to Neville Souther on Friday night, who certainly rates Lindegaard above De Gea at the moment. He feels De Gea will become a good goalkeeper, but it's very, very clear he's just not commanding when the ball's put in the air.
Here's Rooney for Manchester United, 2-0 up here on Tyneside. Rooney, hustled by Tiote. Tiote takes the ball off him, and then it's a foul against Tiote, and look at Tiote.
Can I see?
He reacts like a spoiled brat, and he's yellow carded.
And then he's jumped a bit. To be fair, I agree with him that it wasn't a free kick. I think he didn't make a tackle first time. He held off it. He waited until there was an opportunity to make the tackle. Rooney lost control of the ball, and I think that was Tiote's ball. But his actions and his antics when he didn't get
shocking.
It was just, well, did you say childlike before?
Yes, childlike.
Yeah, I couldn't argue.
Yeah, infantile, which is childlike. Who'd be a fourth official, by the way? Because you just stand there, occasionally hold up a board to show a substitution or time added on. Otherwise, you just take abuse from people in the two dugouts. It's getting a bit tetchy here as the ball is swung forward, and once again Harper was slow to make his move. Welbeck almost got there before the goalkeeper.
No, it's way. I know it's wrong to do it. Newcastle need the spark, and whether it means getting a heavy tackle in or somebody to react, you need to lift the players and also the fans around them, and maybe that will work.
Carrick tackled by Gutierrez, on to Ben Arfa it goes, and now Ferguson on the far side. Ferguson back to Gutierrez, wide left where he usually is, low cross into the edge of the penalty. Bar's there, Bar plays it back, Cabaye with a shot over the crossbar.
That's better, much better. And I feel a little bit sorry for Cabaye. That's 25 yards out there. He's got a lot of power into it, but the ball came to him very quickly. He didn't really have a lot of time there to hold up, but he's a player who's capable of scoring from there. And I'll tell you, it's another one of those ones I'm not convinced the keeper was getting to that had it been on target.
He had a terrific game in Romania the other night, De Gea. And Sir Alex does see him as the future, but he's been switching goalkeepers this season, and De Gea's goal kick there was poor.
Yeah, well, everybody knows everyone feels they know where the weakness is, and it's just not enough power you can up for the English game when, from free kicks and from crosses that are in towards the 6-yard line, and he's not the most commanding. The problem for Newcastle, they can't get the ball often enough in that area to put it in. 11 minutes to go to half-time on World Service and 5 Live. Manchester United lead here on Tyneside by 2-0. Ball flick forward by Tiote for Newcastle. And then it goes back from Cisse. Tiote claims he was fouled. Stop your moaning, son. You've already been booked. At least there's a half smile on his face. Well, he's been booked, and he's lucky not to have got an earlier booking before that as well. You have to remember. The one thing I would say about Newcastle, completely and utterly dominated for the first 20-25 minutes. Have been slightly better since.
Here's Manchester United rampaging forward down the right side, though. It's with Raphael turning in field, lays it back to Carrick. Cleverly shows that Rooney gets the ball first. Now it's back to Cleverly. Carrick once more. Cleverly again. Kagawa's available. Carrick inside the centre circle to Rooney. Rooney to Cleverly. A little bit of room for Tom Cleverly. And now Michael Carrick again. And Wayne Rooney, another England international. Good ball forward to Welbeck into the penalty. Welbeck's angle's far too acute, but he gets the ball lashed through the 6-yard box. Nobody had been following up for Manchester United.
I wonder how much of that was a cutback or actually a very clear shot.
Trying to shoot.
I think there's a possibility there. Put it back into the danger area. The sad thing was Welbeck, he didn't, like a natural striker takes that slightly earlier, but he wasn't confident to have a lash for his left foot, and he ran it, just slightly overran it. But I'll tell you what, his pace is frightening Newcastle's two centre-backs.
Today, Southampton 2, Fulham 2. In the 3 o'clock kickoff, Spurs lead Villa 2-0. 0-0 at Anfield, Liverpool and Stoke. Here in the 4 o'clock game, 2-0 to Manchester United, and it's going to be a corner to Newcastle United.
I'll tell you one player who can hold his head up right now for Newcastle United, Shane Ferguson. The young lads come in, I think he's 6th or 7th start today. I'll tell you what, he has not looked overawed at all at left full-back.
Cabaye with a corner tap short. Why didn't they just dig it in towards De Gea? It's played to Ben Arfa. Ben Arfa now struggling to create room to get the cross in, and he's going to lose the ball. And does lose the ball. What a waste of time that corner was.
I know it was a rhetorical question, Alan, but I agree. Why on earth did he not
just
put the
knock
ball
it in there? He doesn't like it. Here's Santon for Newcastle. Gutierrez behind it, and it's back with the Argentine. On to Santon once more. Tackled by Welbeck and the ball squirts out of play for a throw into Newcastle. Desperate to score before half-time to give themselves some hope in the second half. The throw goes to Cisse. Cisse has won a corner off Patrice Evra.
Well, they better put this one in the middle.
Oh no, just tap it short and make yourself
And then
look
lose
foolish
it.
again.
No, that was poor. I don't think they'll do that one
No,
again.
no.
Well.
Even they have wised up. Cabaye to take the corner. They've got some, tall individuals to aim at. Cisse, Ba, Williamson, Perch are all in that penalty area. Cabaye's corner is deep. Headed away by Ferdinand. Falls to Gutierrez. A shot goes. I think it actually hit a couple of Newcastle players, but importantly a Manchester United player because it's a corner.
Yeah, it's one of those ones that could have landed absolutely anywhere, and I think right there Cisse is human because it just bounced behind his heel. Had it bounced 6 inches the other way, they had a great chance to score. But another corner kick. This time they will put it in from that area. So off of De Gea.
It's on the left. Cabaye swings it in right-footed in towards the goalkeeper. He missed it completely, but the assistant has spotted something.
No, he's absolutely right, Alan. He's 100% right. That was an assault on De Gea. There's no way. I don't know who exactly it was that was in there, but he was making no attempt to do anything else except stop De Gea getting out. You can't do that. That was far too obvious. Well spotted, assistant.
Time running out in the 3 o'clock kickoff at White Hart Lane. What news, David Oates?
Well, it's still 2-0 to Tottenham. Dempsey should have made it 3, but inexplicably missed with a header. And Bennett has been stretched off, the young left-back for Aston Villa, after an innocuous-looking clash with Bale. Villa have already used all their substitutes, so they're down to 10 men, and they're trailing here, Villa, by 2-0.
And it was also 3 o'clock start at Anfield. Dave Woods.
So 8 minutes left to play here. We've just seen Luis Suarez smashing one into the side netting, but it remains Liverpool 0, Stoke 0, so the frustration for Liverpool grows. Stoke will be licking their lips at this, 0-0.
And using the cricket, Alison Mitchell.
Sri Lanka at 36 for 1. We've had 7 overs. They're in pursuit of their target of 138, needing about 7.5 an over. They've got the 2 most experienced batters in the middle. Jai Warner on 21, Sangakkara on 13, and Sri Lanka now 36 for 1 after 7.
6 minutes to half-time here on Tyneside. Newcastle United 0, Manchester United 2. Goals from Evans and Evra. Newcastle's free kick, headed away from the edge of the Manchester penalty area, collected now by Cisse. Cisse has 2 United defenders across. I thought Evra pushed him right in front of the assistant, but the assistant says no, and it's a goal kick.
We're in complete agreement there, Alan. I agree with completely.
But hold on a sec. We are more than 50 yards away, whereas the assistant's a couple of yards away, admittedly wearing 2 pairs of dark glasses.
I'm amazed he didn't see that. He just shoved him. The assistant's probably watching the ball and looking for a free kick, and you know what, with a tackle, but he's just pushed him over.
Ben Arfa on towards Ba, cleared by Ferdinand. Out for a throw into Newcastle. Gutierrez to take it, throwing it to Ben Arfa. Ben Arfa's return ball to Gutierrez wasn't clever. Gutierrez did well, and now it's with... Oh, that's a good ball by Cabaye to the right side, and Santon. Santon's first touch, not great, but he gets it into the penalty, the Manchester penalty, plays it back, doesn't find a black and white striped shirt. Half cleared. Cabaye attempted to shoot, volleys across high in. De Gea's punch was woeful, but it's cleared by Manchester United to play for a throw-in.
Oh, and if you and I can see up here where the problem is with Manchester United, where the weakness is, surely Newcastle can see it. They must get it in there.
But I haven't got an 8-year contract. And that Newcastle attack breaks down.
What a lovely build-up play there. Now it's good for Newcastle fans. You can hear that now. Cabaye, the lovely ball out to the right-hand side there. I'm very impressed with Santon. Gets by the defender and looks for something. Gets his head up. There were no shots to spot in the middle there, most because Man United defenders had marked very, very well, but that's much, much better from Newcastle.
By the way, in case anybody's getting the wrong impression, I like Alan Pardew, but I refuse to believe that you can get an 8-year contract without the odd get-out clause.
I suspect there may be.
Here's Santon at right back today for Newcastle, into Tiote. Tiote loses the tackle of Van Persie. Now it's with Rooney. 4 minutes to half-time. Manchester United lead 2-0. Kagawa, who's been pretty quiet. Back to Evans, scored the first goal. On to Cleverly. Kagawa, oh goodness gracious. Gutierrez,
he could go
very late. Just a yellow card.
Well done, Kagawa. He didn't make a meal of it. Manchester United fans aren't crowding around the referee there. That was a horrible tackle. I've seen
awful.
Often seen players sent off for that. And I don't think Yunus Gutierrez is a particularly dirty player.
I have to say, I wouldn't have been surprised if it was Tiote or Cabaye, who have history, let's say. Not Gutierrez.
That was horrible. Really horrible. Fortunate boy.
Well done, Kagawa. And here is the Japanese midfield player from the free kick hit by Evans. On to Van Persie in the far side. Raphael back to Kagawa. His reaction was typical of his nationality, actually.
And you're
really
so right. I mean, there's a lot of other players on this pitch today that would have made a lot more of that. Well done.
Here's Rooney inside the centre circle. Drills the ball to the right to Van Persie. A lot of fluidity and that front three for Manchester United. Van Persie moving in field onto his left foot. Leaves it for Cleverly. The pass a little short. Ben Arfa got a half tackle in, but didn't put off Manchester United's attack. Kagawa on the right side. Moving to the edge of the penalty area. Crosses low. Took a deflection behind. Go for a corner.
The problem for Kagawa, he's a lovely player and you love to see him get on the ball, but he's a number 10. He's somebody who wants to play with options around him, with 360 degrees to work with. It's a totally different game playing in the wing. You've only got something like a 30-yard angle or degree that you can go forward to. It's not suited to him.
Now United corner as a Manchester corner equals goals.
Usually.
So
far in this game.
So far. Van Persie with a corner from the right. Hit left foot in towards the near post. Headed on by Carrick and just too high for Rooney, who was totally unmarked on the far post.
Yet again. And the problem that I think they've got, I think Newcastle, I've just watched the marking and I can't describe it as marking. His marker ran 10 yards the other direction. Now, if you are marking someone, you should at least run with them in the vague area. But they're doing the oldest schoolboy thing in the world. They're following the ball. It's madness.
Goal kick to Newcastle. It could have been worse. It could have been a restart. It could have been 3-0. Still 2-0 to Manchester United. Ball played forward to Ba, who's trying to put pressure on Evra. Evra manages to clear it partly, but picked up by Cisse. Back to Tiote. On to Cisse again. And now Cabaye. Cabaye, well, he tried to stab that through the legs of Evra. It almost came off, but Manchester United managed to clear it. And now it's with Raphael on the far side. Inside the final minute of the first half here on Tyneside. Newcastle win the ball back. Ben Arfa, largely a disappointment in this first half. Ben Arfa's shot low and wide.
And kind of sums up the half that he's had just now. He's not playing with great confidence, and he is one of those players that has to play with confidence. Can I make a prediction just now, Alan?
Yep.
Match of the day 2 tonight. They'll be talking to the poor defending from corner kicks in Newcastle United because it has been horrific.
Well, that'll take up the 10 minutes of highlights that they've got to show.
I'll tell you.
Or 10 minutes of lowlights, as far as the Jordan perspective is concerned.
For Newcastle, yeah. I mean, you never. But I mean, if they could have got a goal before half-time, I mean, the dynamic of the game has totally and utterly changed. But it's just that they haven't really looked like getting that goal.
Well, they got a free kick, so an opportunity in added time, of which you've got 3 minutes. I mean, there was a stoppage for Evans' injury. I can't remember too much else.
I was slightly surprised it's 3 minutes, maybe.
Yes.
So Alec might be quite happy then.
Or unhappy if Newcastle score. Where did they get that 3 minutes from? Not that I can do a Scottish accent, and particularly not Sir Alex's when he's in the mood. Cabaye's free kick, just ahead of the centre circle, right-footed into the penalty, free header for Cisse, but wide. Didn't trouble De Gea.
Yeah, he'll be devastated. He doesn't get that on target. You know, I think he's actually on his way down when he makes the header, but you've got to get that on target there. It's good there. There is a weakness. We know what the weakness is. Put it in there, and I'm just slightly surprised that. I think that was Ferdinand's man there, and he's left him there. It was pretty poor marking. Surprised at that.
2 minutes of added time left at the end of the first half. Goodness, Perch was a little bit lucky there to get a free kick. Anyway, it was adjudged to be a foul on him, on the defender. Quickly taken by Newcastle. Gutierrez on the far side of the field. Ferguson available, but it's tapped back to Ben Arfa. Actually, Ferguson's played like a wide left player for most of the game rather than a fullback.
Yeah, he's been impressive. He's not held himself back at all.
And here's Santon down the right side. Flicks the cross into the Manchester penalty. Evans, scorer of the first goal, heads it away. Out of play for a throw into Newcastle. 90 seconds for Newcastle to get some joy out of what's been a punishing first half for that sort of sums it up. Ben Arfa runs one way and the throw-in goes the other. But it's headed forward by Williamson again. Headed down by Evra and Rooney. Ever willing to be on the defensive if necessary. Clears with a volley on the far side of the field.
Different code, Wayne. Rugby.
Yes. The work rate he puts in is fantastic. He's not just a brilliant player on occasion. He works all the time. Here's Ben Arfa, robbed of possession by Carrick. Cleverly to Van Persie. Rooney, Welbeck down the left. They've got players on the right-hand side as well. Cleverly and Kagawa. Welbeck still in possession. Welbeck approaching the penalty area and gets the corner, even though Rooney was free to his left.
It's possibly 3 or 4 times now when Welbeck, he makes good runs, he's got good pace, but he doesn't always run comfortably with the ball, and that's the second time that in dangerous areas where you think he's going to get shot away, his touch hasn't been good enough to set himself up when there was a great opportunity there.
Danger for Newcastle. Another United corner, Manchester corner. Played in by Rooney, palmed away by Harper. Still inside the Newcastle penalty area. Kagawa, good ball to the left side and Rooney. First touch control by Rooney. Rooney crosses, comes back off a defender, crosses again into the side netting.
I should have done a little bit better than that there. I think he should have thrown his left foot at Wayne Rooney. He's right-footed, but he's very capable of putting his left foot on that as well. But puts it behind, and I think Newcastle and Alan Pardew will be particularly pleased that they got to half-time. No worse than 2-0. Exactly, not absolutely out of this game, because it could be finished by now, and could be finished by simple things, an ability to defend corner kicks.
How often does that happen? The referee waits for a free kick or a goal kick to be taken and then immediately blows his whistle.
Well, what they like to do is have the ball in the air in the middle of the park, so no one can complain that they have put it at a disadvantage.
So that's why they didn't get it. Okay, half-time then. Newcastle United 0, Manchester United 2, and it could be 4.
One side 2-0 up then here at St James's Park, and that's also the case at White Hart Lane this afternoon. David Hayes.
It is, and we're in stoppage time, Mark. Almost 2 minutes of the 4 minutes added time played. Spurs leading Villa by 2-0. They're searching for more goals. Here's Sigurdsson just inside the penalty area. Kieran Clark has done well. Tottenham's sluggish start to the season seems long forgotten now, really. This will be a 4th straight league win. They took a while to get going this afternoon at White Hart Lane. Might have been a different game had Christian Benteke not missed a glorious chance just after the restart. He headed wide from Mark Albrighton's perfect cross. He should really have hit the target. Within 5 minutes, Spurs had the lead. Gareth Bale's corner smashed goalwards by Jermaine Defoe and deflecting in, a little fortuitously, it has to be said, off Stephen Colker's ankles, and Colker will claim the goal. No look about the second, though. Aaron Lennon spying the merest hint of a gap inside the far post and drilling in from 20 yards. Dempsey and Bale should have added further goals, really. Bale was a bit unlucky, hit the inside of the post. Spurs, I'm sure, happy to settle for 2. I make it we've got just a minute of stoppage time to go. Villa are down to 10 men, having used all their substitutes, and an injury to their young left-back Joe Bennett, who was stretchered off. It's Spurs 2, Villa 0. Spurs are going to win this one at a canter.
Has it been another frustrating afternoon for the home side and the home fans at Anfield? Dave Woods.
Well, it looks like we've got about 10 minutes of stoppage time remaining here, Mark. It remains Liverpool 0, Stoke 0. Couple of late chances for Liverpool. Suarez from the angle of the side netting 9 minutes ago, and Cole free kick into the area just on the 90th minute. Skirtle standing on the byline, hooked it right across the face of goal and away from danger. But you have to say, Liverpool have not created too many chances here today. Stoke deserving this point if they hang on, but Stoke had 6 players booked as well this afternoon. It's Liverpool 0, Stoke 0, and we're seconds away from the full-time whistle.
Earlier on this afternoon, it finished Southampton 2, Fulham 2. In the SPL, Celtic beat Hearts by 1-0 to return to the top of the table. Let's get an update on the final of the World T20 now. Sri Lanka chasing 138 to beat the West Indies. Alison Mitchell.
Well, the 50's just come up for Sri Lanka, 51 for 2 in the 10th over. They're chasing 138 to win, so they still need more than 8.5 and over. They've just lost Kumar Sangakkara, who hold out to deep mid-wicket, and a wicket for Badri, the spinner. He's gone for 22 off 26 balls. Dirk Nannes is with me. Dirk, you've either played with or against most of these players on the outfield in 2020. This is not by any means straightforward for Sri Lanka chasing 138.
No, this has turned into an amazing final here. You wouldn't have thought it. After 10 overs, West Indies being only 2 for 32, getting on to 137, and now, well, they're right in this game. It's quite a remarkable game.
What's made it so difficult for them? Because they've seemed to struggle against the spin.
Yeah, well, it's a slow turning track, and credit where credit's due. West Indies have bowled out of their skin so far, and you'd almost go to the point that you'd say the game's in West Indies' favour now.
Well, we're at the halfway stage. West Indies need Sri Lanka need 138, but they're currently 51 for 2. And earlier, Marlon Samuels got 78 off 56 balls. Mendes 4 for 12, and Lasith Malinga conceded 54 runs off his 4 overs. It's been a strange old game so far, but Sri Lanka still need 51 for 2 at the halfway stage, chasing that 138.
Final whistle has now gone in the 3 o'clock Premier League game, so back to David Oates first of all.
Yes, Spurs have won it by 2-0. So the goals, 57 minutes. Stephen Colker didn't know anything about it. Defoe's shot wasn't going in, though. So Colker's intervention, even though he didn't know anything about it, was absolutely vital. And then the second goal, 9 minutes later, Aaron Lennon with an excellent low shot from just outside the area. Spurs deserved the victory, and they've won here by 2-0. A fourth straight league win for Tottenham.
And Dave Woods to confirm the score from Anfield.
And to confirm that it's Furrowed Brows all round here as well. Liverpool 0, Stoke 0, so only 2 points from their opening 4 home Premier League games this season for Liverpool. A continuation of a very solid start by Stoke. They've still only lost one, that 1-0 defeat to Chelsea. A very creditable point here today, and a thoroughly deserved one as well. Liverpool 0, Stoke 0.
Some other sports news for you. England's women lost by 4 runs to defending champions Australia in the World T20. They were set 142 for win. They needed 6 off the final ball, but they ended up on 138 for 9. Just 2 points separated London Welsh and Saracens with 6 minutes to go in the Aviva Premiership, but Sarries held on to win 28-23 at Kassam, and it's just finished Wasps 10, Worcester 6. And in case you missed it this morning, Sebastian Vettel won the Japanese Grand Prix to close the gap on championship leader Fernando Alonso to just 4 points. Alonso crashed out on the first lap. Jenson Button and Lewis Hamilton were 4th and 5th respectively. This is BBC Radio 5 Live. Faye Roscoe has the news.
On digital radio, digital TV, mobile and online. This is BBC Radio 5 Live.
Mountain Rescue has said that its search for April Jones will be suspended tonight. They said in a statement that they've searched everywhere best suited to their skills, more than 70 square kilometres, and that they will remain on hand to assist the police. 46-year-old Mark Bridger will appear in court tomorrow, charged with the 5-year-old's murder. Government sources have confirmed that ministers are looking at curbing housing benefits for some school leavers. The Prime Minister's confirmed that a further £16 billion worth of savings will have to be announced before the next election, and that some of the cuts will come from the welfare budget. The trustees of the Jimmy Savile Charitable Trust say they're considering changing its name after claims that he abused underage girls. This morning, David Cameron described the allegations as truly shocking. The Defence Secretary Philip Hammond has called on France and Germany to reduce their stake in the European aerospace giant EADS. He warned that if they didn't, the government wouldn't allow a proposed merger with BAE Systems to go ahead. And 2 people have been arrested after a 12-year-old boy died in a hit-and-run accident in Bradford. Bilal Kazar was using a crossing when he was hit by a car which had stopped moments earlier in a lay-by by the police. Just one thing to mention on the roads. In Devon, a lane's closed on the M5 southbound. That's between junction 30 at Exeter and junction 31 at Exminster. Traffic there is building up, getting quite heavy there. Faye Rusco, 5 Live Travel.
5 Live's Oktoberfest is almost here. From Thursday until Saturday, we're broadcasting from the heart of Sheffield.
Our free 3-day festival will feature audience debates, events across the city and live broadcasts,
including Jarvis Cocker in conversation with Richard Bacon and 5 Live Sport, kicking off with Colin Murray. Thursday night from 7, Colin's joined by some of the city's leading sports stars and special guests. Brian Dean, Mark Bright, James Toseland, Peter Ebdon and Olympic silver medalist Nicola Wilson. Plus, Jimmy Anderson and Graham Swan return for a special Oktoberfest edition of Not Just Cricket.
To sign up for tickets and full terms and conditions, go online. Click bbc.co.uk/5live.
5 Live Sport.
The Premier League.
Newcastle take on Man United.
And it's 2-0 to Manchester United at half-time. Also today in the Premier League, Spurs have beaten Aston Villa by 2-0. It finished goalless between Liverpool and Stoke. Southampton 2, Fulham 2, and Celtic beat Hearts by 1-0 in the SPL. We'll get as much reaction to those games as we can during half-time, but first of all, another wicket has gone in the T20 final. Ali.
Yeah, the Sri Lankan party is being dampened somewhat because Angelo Matthews has just been bowled by Darren Sammy. He was trying to paddle the ball away. It's just come out to the middle after the fall of the wicket of Sangakkara, but he's gone for one. And now Sri Lanka find themselves at 53 for 3, chasing 138 to win. We're in the 11th over. They need to go at more than 8 and over here.
It's going to be an exciting finish. 5 Live Sports Extra to listen to that. Back to the football then. Southampton moved out of the bottom 3 with a 2-2 draw at home to Fulham. It was a dramatic final few minutes at St Mary's. Jose Font had put the Saints 1-0 up before a Jos Højfeldt own goal, and Kieran Richardson's strike gave Fulham the lead. However, Font scored again in injury time to rescue a point for a relieved Nigel Adkins.
Big deep breath in, cold light today. We've taken a point in the Barclays Premier League, and having gone behind so late on to come back and score the equaliser, Jose Fonte's two goals from the set plays is obviously pleasing to get a point. But obviously I'm disappointed with our second half performance. We dropped off far too much. The game was far too open for the opposition. I think the things we were doing well in the first half we didn't do in the second half, nowhere near as much. And again, we normally play out well from the back and keep good possession of the football. We haven't done it nowhere near enough. We created some opportunities. We could have scored some more goals, and when we do create them opportunities, we've got to put the ball in the back of the net. But again, it's 2 poor goals that we've gone and conceded, and we can't hide away from the fact that you can't keep scoring goals like we have been doing. And unless we defend resolutely as a team and be compact in our shape and win the individual battles that you've got to keep the ball out of the back of the net, then obviously it's going to be an uphill task for everybody.
His opposite number, Martin Jol, was pleased with his side's second half improvement.
Yeah, it's not only a matter of character, it's a matter of sort of resistance and resilience and mentally, you have to be strong mentally and you want to play a football because, of course, they are the home team. And then they're good at home, it's a good team. Aston Villa, they scored 4 goals. But today we showed, of course we are building a new team and Giorgio came on. And Bayrou started to play better. He get the ball because he's our quality player. Damien Duff get more of the ball. And then Hugo will get more of the ball, So I was pleased with Kieran Richardson, new player for us. It was a gamble. He came on, he scored. So there's so many positive things, Although we lost our quality in midfield, I think we're still good enough to do well.
They equalised from a free kick. And just a second before they were awarded that free kick, there was a similar challenge which might have gone your way.
What can I say? I asked it before I went to you. Can you say something in England? No, you can't say something in England, so I keep my mouth shut. But everyone could say it was a foul for us. We should have had a free kick. Everything would have been fine. And I think the foul on our player was even worse than the other foul 2 seconds later. And I'm very pleased that you saw that as well.
On to the horse racing. There was a shock result in today's Prix de l'Arc de Triomphe at Longchamp when the 33-1 shot, Salemia, ridden by Olivier Pellier, narrowly beat the Japanese challenger Orfèvre. The favourite, Camelot, and Frankie Dettori finished only 7th. So let's go live to Paris and our racing correspondent Cornelius Lyson.
Well, Mark, a thrilling finish here, but I'm afraid there is a feeling of anti-climax despite the obvious achievement of Olivier Pellier for the 4th time in the Arc and trainer Carlos Lafont-Parias, who also took today's Prix Marcel Boussac together with Silasol, both horses owned by the Wertheimer brothers. But the 4-year-old filly Salemia was a complete outsider, miles down most punters and pundits' lists of likely Arc winners, well behind the 3-year-old Camelot, whose first ever defeat came in the St Leger last month, blamed by some on the jockey. But Spanish-born Lafont-Parias declared that the Aidan O'Brien-trained Camelot was simply not as good as his publicity said.
To be honest, I think the 3-year-old from the beginning, each time they ran with the old horses, it was always the old horses who win the race. I think the Camelot the other day, everybody say he was unlucky. Each one can think different, but if you are a great horse, you might win that race easily. Say it was the jockey, I don't think it was the jockey. The horse is not that good.
Orfèvre, who looked like the winner entering the very closing stages, is a 3rd runner-up for Japan. There were excuses for Camelot, on whom Frankie Dettori surprisingly took the ride for the Irish-based Coolmore set of owners, arch rivals of his regular employer Sheikh Mohammed. The colt was found to have lost 3 shoes during the race, but this was Dettori's verdict.
Just the long season took its toll. I had a perfect trip. wherever I asked him to go. He took me there. He took me into the street on the ride, but I already knew the signs were not there. Just ran like a horse. He just ran one too many. In fairness, he's been going since the beginning, so you've got to excuse him for that.
So, Mark, for the second year running, it's a filly, Salemia this time, who's won. She may go next to San Francisco, to the Breeders' Cup in Santa Anita in November.
Thank you very much, Cornelius. So a shock there in the Prix de l'Arc de Triomphe. Alan Green and 606 follows 5 Live Sport this evening. 0500 909 693 to talk to him. 0500 909 693. And then next Saturday, 606 will be live in front of an audience at the Crucible in Sheffield as part of 5 Live's Oktoberfest. Manchester United are out already. We're still waiting for Newcastle to come out. Pat Nevin, part of our commentary team. The home side improved in the last 15-20 minutes.
Yeah, they did. I mean, if you're playing away from home, you expect the home side to come into the game at some point. And there was a little bit of anger that started to come through the Newcastle players, understandably so. And you have to give a lot of respect towards Alan Pardew and the fact that near the end of this, he'd made 3 or 4 different tactical changes. And they weren't working until eventually put Ben Arthur out to the left, brought Gutierrez back into the centre of the park. And it became a slightly more even game. And they lifted themselves, Newcastle. But I think it's as much as, Manchester United had did the job and thought, OK, we don't need to keep on pressing it. We've done enough. We can draw them on and play a little bit more in the break. So all the questions still to be answered.
It was interesting. It was interesting watching Pardew, wasn't it? Because that first 10 minutes, so he turned around to his bench a few times with his notes, as if trying to work out how Manchester United were playing.
Yeah, and for me, it's a fairly clear diamond. 2 up front, diamond in midfield. But because it's such a fluid four there, obviously Carrick will be the second one, but they were all dropping and moving, and it was quite hard to see. And I thought the Newcastle were playing in straight lines too much, and they were getting picked off. They seem to have got a hold of it a little bit better, but let's see what happens in the second half.
They're about to kick that off. Conor McNamara.
Thanks very much, Mark. If you were to do up a Premier League table based on just the second half of all games this campaign, Manchester United would be top of that table. They're certainly top of this game thanks to goals from 2 defenders, Johnny Evans and Patrice Evra. And I was speaking to some backroom staff of Manchester United during half-time, and they were saying their team very seldom scores from headers. If you think over recent seasons, Manchester United don't tend to score headers directly from corners.
Which either says that they've been working hard on it, or else they're against a particularly poorly defensive outfit from set pieces, and I think it is the latter.
When you look at the Newcastle team with a goalkeeper, Steve Harper, fine goalkeeper he is, but hasn't been first choice in recent seasons. And probably apart from Santon, I don't think you'd say any of the back 4 would be in Alan Pardew's first choice team if he had everyone in his squad available. So that is a factor that needs to be brought into this as well. So early stages of the second half, it's still Newcastle United 0, Manchester United 2. Let's go for an update from Colombo and the cricket and Alison Mitchell.
Well, the West Indies, you feel, have taken a big step towards the trophy because they've dismissed the Sri Lanka captain Mahela Jayawardene. He was dropped twice on the way to 33 off 36 balls, but then trying to reverse sweep the spinner Narayan, caught by Darren Sammy. 60 for 4 now Sri Lanka in the 13th over, chasing 138. They've got Jeevan Mendes and Tassara Pereira in the middle, but they need more than 9 and over. There is rain around as well, with Sri Lanka well behind the asking rate. 60 for 4, needing 138 to win. We're in the 13th over.
Thanks, Alison. Earlier on today, Celtic beat Hearts by a 1-0 to go back to the top of the SPL. It was a 2-2 draw between Southampton and Fulham, 0-0 between Liverpool and Stoke, and Tottenham beat Aston Villa by 2-0. This is the 4 o'clock kickoff at Barclays Premier League, and here comes Ferguson on the break for Newcastle, trying to get into the penalty area left-hand side, and Raphael, who's so quick, was able to track that run and make a safe challenge on the edge of the penalty area, not be a risk of giving away a spot kick.
Yeah, but he got himself in a poor position in the first place, yes. Raphael, and the defender goes straight by him, young Ferguson, who has, for me, had a really good game in that position beforehand. Questioning why Simpson's not starting, but in actual fact he has definitely not let himself down in this game. Having said that, he's against Kagawa, who's not a natural winger. He may have more problems if we see the likes of maybe Valencia and Nani up against him.
Yeah, by the way, the Manchester United bench, Valencia, Anderson, Giggs. They've also got Hernandez and Scholes and young Wotton, so plenty of experience on that bench should Manchester United need it. At the moment, you would say that they don't need any further reinforcements as they lead so comfortably. Here is one of the goal scorers on the ball, Johnny Evans. Did score once for Sunderland when he was on loan there, and before today had just scored the one time for Manchester United. Rooney gives the ball back to Cleverley. That was a neat 1-2 between the two of them in midfield, and Cleverley gets almost to the edge of the penalty area, lacked a bit of support, so turned and gave it safely back to Raphael. Now this is Kagawa, looks up and sees that Cleverley's still in that position wide on the right hand side. Ferguson comes to close him down. Raphael is available on the overlap. Here's that battle between those two, Ferguson and Raphael, the two young fullbacks, and Raphael tries to pass it low into the penalty area. Newcastle seem to have enough bodies back there, and Gutierrez with a cheeky little dink just prods it forward towards Ben Arfa, and then Newcastle lose it again. Tiote comes in to win it back again, and he's caught by a challenge from Carrick. Free kick will go to Newcastle, and that challenge not all that dissimilar to the one which Kagawa received a yellow card for in the first half. It's a trip, but
it's intriguing to see the difference in reactions. When Kyoto goes down, he's throwing his hands up, he's making everything off it, and you compare that with Kagawa's reaction, it's sometimes quite saddening. It's to say nothing away from Kyoto, who I think is a fine player.
Now here comes Patrice Evra for Manchester United, trying to get it up to Van Persie. Van Persie does enough to give it back to the Frenchman. Here comes the cross into the penalty area. I think he slipped just as he went to strike it, and it bounced in front of the goalkeeper. Steve Harper was able to collect it. Newcastle 0, Manchester United 2. We'll be going to Colombo and the cricket in just a moment, but here come Newcastle on the attack. Ben Arfa rolls the ball in front of Demba Ba. Little step over in the penalty area. Now tries to turn Rio Ferdinand, chips it towards the back post. Cleverley is there to head it away, and we can go to the cricket and Alison Mitchell.
Well, the local crowd getting a bit subdued because the West Indies have just taken their 5th wicket. Jeevan Mendes run out for 3. Sri Lanka still needs 75 off 43 balls. They're 5 down.
Commentary of that continues on 5 Live Sports Extra. So a throw in to Newcastle here, looking for a good start to this second half. We've played 4.5 minutes since the break. Ferguson has possession left hand side, steadies himself, left footed cross, De Gea flaps at it, ball goes back up the crossbar, should be headed in by Cisse, did it cross the line? Newcastle are celebrating, and the referee says no, it's a corner. Well, David De Gea, who's always such a good shot stopper but looks nervy at times under crosses, he really flapped at that. Here comes another cross into the centre. Rooney heads it away initially. Welbeck doesn't help his teammates by putting it back into the mix. Now this is Tiote to Ferguson on the left hand side. It was his cross that caused the trouble there for Manchester United. This time a free header for Rio Ferdinand, and helped on by Raphael, but Manchester United still haven't got that away. Back to Tiote, left footed ball towards the edge of the box. Evans has done enough, but only to clear it as far as Santon. Now there's a player, I think it's Kabaye, who's down injured around the D of the penalty area. Play continues around him. Dembaba tries to jump in the air, beaten by Ferdinand. Surely Manchester United will clear it away now, and Kagawa puts a big boot in it.
Do you get the feeling that Pardew had a word with some of the players and suggested they put the ball on top of De Gea, which we all three of us were shouting for in the first half? Absolutely incredible it's taking them so long, and the player who's doing it most often, more than anyone else, is young Ferguson on the left hand side here.
Young Ferguson putting pressure on old Ferguson's team, and this is going to be a free kick for Manchester United on the edge of the penalty area. Just to go back to that incident, Pat, high ball into the penalty area, goalkeeper flapped at it, it hit the crossbar, came back to Cisse, and we've not got the best of angles, but it looked as if there was a big shout the ball might even have crossed the line.
I had a good look at it in a replay, and it actually went along the line. It hit off the post, it rolled along the line. I don't think there's any doubt that it went over the line. I would have been really surprised, but De Gea was very, very poor. Actually, he's got his hands. I would say the entire ball isn't over the line when De Gea said it. So De Gea at fault at the start, and by the end, no, the entire ball is not over the line.
It's one of those where the goalkeeper claws it back, if you know what I mean. The ball had actually gone behind the goalkeeper, but not fully over the line, as Pat says, and he then saves it, scoops it out, if you like.
Does that not just sum up entirety of David De Gea's game?
Yeah.
What an incredible
brilliant shot stopper, hopeless at crosses. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
There you go. All in 3 seconds.
Yeah. Well, we're not rushing to judgment here. We've seen enough of him now, and that seems to be the means, if you like,
I actually thought he'd been improving, getting a little bit stronger. And there are goalkeepers that don't feel that they should command the entire box or even much past their 6-yard box. But with De Gea, there's really no doubt about it. Even within the 6-yard box, he just isn't strong enough and powerful enough at the moment.
Well, here come Newcastle. They've certainly been better in this second half than they were in the first. They still trail, though, by 2-0. This is Tiote, centre of midfield, gives it to the left now to Ben Arfa. Nicely timed ball to bring Ferguson into things. Here's the low cross straight at Rio Ferdinand, and that's unfortunate from a Newcastle point of view because they did have bodies in the box there, but the cross was poor, and probably the first time we've said that about young Shane Ferguson here at left back.
Yeah, I think we've seen not much of an argument. The fact that he's been Newcastle's best player by a bit of a distance, and it's lovely for the young lad, and he's getting up and down, he's putting out so much effort in this game. On the other hand, when your left back's your best player, it's not good news at home.
It's the incorrect termage to say that the goalkeeper's a marked man, but you know what I mean. They are going to be pumping crosses in on top of David De Gea, you would imagine, in this second half now, Newcastle, as they try to find a way back into this game. Still plenty of light in the air. The floodlights beaming down also as Gutierrez here is challenged by Van Persie on the edge of the centre circle. Gives it out to Santon on the right-hand side. Back into the middle now. Tiote's challenged by Welbeck. Ferguson is going to have to be quick here, but he holds on to possession for Newcastle. Helped out by Ben Arfa. 10 yards in from the touchline on the left-hand side. Ben Arfa up against Kagawa. I think he showed that too much of that to Raphael, but the Frenchman continues, gets his cross in. Goalkeeper remains rooted to the line, and Patrice Evra has to try and deal with this. Cleverly has sliced his clearance. Picked up now by Gutierrez. 15 yards outside the penalty area. That's a good tackle from Van Persie, and that puts the ball out for a Newcastle
I'll tell you
throw.
what, Manchester United have got to do something with their right-hand side. It isn't good enough. At the moment, Ben Arfa's not having a great game, but everything that's coming from Newcastle is coming down the left-hand side. They've got to do something with that United. They will lose something. They're not stopping young Ferguson.
Kabaye chips into the penalty area, and the header is off target from Demba Ba. But undoubtedly, Newcastle have come on leaps and bounds, and a reaction of it here is that Alex Ferguson wants to make a change. We've not played 10 minutes in the second half yet, but he's going to bring on Valencia, and he will replace the Japanese player Kagawa.
Exactly. He's got to do something this right-hand side. Kagawa's actually had not too bad a game there, but he has to pull over to the right-hand side here and make sure that he pushes young Ferguson back the other direction. That's good tactical awareness from, well, obviously, as it's Sir Alex Ferguson, but we can see a mile away why he had to do that, because the most dangerous player in their team's a left back. Good. Bring on Valencia. Push that boy the other direction.
2-0 here to Manchester United. Back to the cricket. Alison Mitchell.
Another run out. It's Tassara Pereira trying to take a quick single, pushing the ball into the offside. Dinesh Ramdin, the keeper, came racing around. A brilliant pick up and throw directed at the non-striker's end. Run out for 3. Sri Lanka needs 70 off the last 36 balls, and they're now 68 for 6 after 14 overs. The West Indies reeling off in celebration after that 6th wicket.
Thanks very much, Alison. One of those moments that home fans always love here. Antonio Valencia has come on. He's full of energy. He's sprinting down anything, and he's been brought on to add some insulation to that right-hand side for Manchester United. He runs in on Shane Ferguson to try and tackle him, and Ferguson does him with a nutmeg. And the crowd really, really like that.
But oddly, Sir Alex Ferguson and Manchester United won't be that disappointed, because quite simply, where was he tackling? Back in his own line.
Correct.
Exactly. So he was nutmegged, but the plan has already started to work.
Right, now this is Patrice Evra from Manchester United, who've been under the cosh here in the early stages of the second half. Cleverly gets an important touch. Evra back towards the centre circle now, and Michael Carrick, and just for a moment the Newcastle players stand off him, so he's rolled an ice ball in front of Cleverly. Now Welbeck will try and use his pace to get into the penalty area. Oh, and he's got there ahead of Santon, who just seemed to hesitate. Now it's back for Cleverly, and he got underneath the shot, and he's put it over the crossbar.
Do you know, sometimes when you're just about to hit a ball and you think Cleverly would normally put that in, certainly on target, looking for the top corner there. Who's beside him? Tiote. He knows the tackle's coming there, and that's why he went over the crossbar. He was aware of what was going to happen to him. Good pace by Welbeck there. Fantastic.
Well, that was it. As the ball was played through, Santon was the odds-on favourite to get to that ball first, and whether he tried to do a little shimmy or a disguised turn or something, but Welbeck was able to nip around him, and Manchester United got their first proper shot, albeit not on target, of this second half.
I think he was running quicksand there.
Quicksand on. Header back from Valencia, helped on by Raphael, and that's too far in front of Van Persie. It'll be held back by Williamson. to the goalkeeper Harper. Oh, what's Harper done? He's cleared the ball straight to Valencia. Manchester United into the penalty area, 3 in the middle. Valencia's taking his time over the cross here, and the urgency has just seeped away from this attack, but Harper very fortunate not to be punished for what was an unnecessarily easy pass straight to Valencia. You know, if you're going to clear it away, you've got to wallop it if you're the goalkeeper. This is Valencia, right hand side, back into Raphael. Now into a midfield position. Carrick helps it onto Rooney. Rooney tries a back heel and gets it all wrong, and Newcastle will regain possession.
Two questions over Harper. Number one, he's either got A, he's got a big boil in his big toe in his left foot, or B, he can't kick the ball with his left foot, and that's his problem there. Twice in a row he could have put Newcastle in a massive trouble. He could have actually been sent off in the first half because do you know what? Have a swing at it. You've got to have a swing at it.
Tim Krul, the goalkeeper, was injured on international duty. It's an elbow problem. He's expected to be out for another 2 weeks. And then Rob Elliott, who would normally be the third choice goalkeeper at Newcastle, started the game in the Europa League during the week and picked up a knock, and he's out. So they've got a youngster, Jack Alnwick, on the bench tonight to Newcastle, just in case anything was to happen to Steve Harper. You know, he's a very good goalkeeper, so experienced. He was signed by Kevin Keegan first time round. That's how long he's been at this club.
His only problem is the fact he's not kicked the ball with his left foot.
Yeah.
It's, you know, in days gone by that wouldn't have been a problem for a goalkeeper. Yeah. However, now the modern game, the way it's played, you can't do the pass backs. You've got to be able to get your foot through it and get up that park.
We're approaching the hour mark, and it is still 2-0 to Manchester United. And for all their good start to this second half, Newcastle have not been able to reduce the deficit. Here is Patrice Evra, one of the goal scorers. If you missed our commentary in the first half, Evra and Evans, both with headers from corners, putting Manchester United 2-0 in front after a quarter of an hour. A free kick here to the visitors inside the Newcastle half, and just a chance for Alex Ferguson to try and pin Newcastle back a little bit more.
You know, Patrice Evra just gone down there. Is there someone from the top row here shot him with high-power velocity rifle? There's nothing wrong with him. There's 100%. I know Alan's come back on in a minute, and I know you would have said that yourself. He'd have said that himself. But that's actually dreadful. And get on with it.
Patrice Evra gets back to his feet, and Manchester United take the free kick. Too cleverly in a central location. Passes out to the near touchline. Manchester United's right to Valencia, who's on as a second half sub here. Pulls it back to Raphael. Now this is Carrick lobbing one over the top, looking for the run of Van Persie. So many times last season Van Persie got onto those, played by Alex Song or someone at Arsenal, but on this occasion the linesman's flag is raised against him, and that's going to be a free kick out to Newcastle.
It tells you another little story about Manchester United today. They're 2-0 up. They've been the better side generally.
Oh, another mistake, this time by Tiote. Rooney's into the penalty area here. Chance to make it 3 for Manchester United, and it's saved by the goalkeeper Harper. He didn't catch it fully, did Rooney, but Newcastle United, their own worst enemies at the moment, and time after time defensive errors are allowing Manchester United to come at them.
I mean, as you say, they're their own worst enemies, but what must the manager think, Alan Pardew? I mean, there's nobody near him there, Tiote. He just trips over his own feet, a little bit nervy, obviously. At least a chance to win. Rooney running in and go, and well done, Steve Harper, good save.
Newcastle United 0, Manchester United 2. Sri Lanka, by the way, 69 for 7. They need 138 to win. We'll keep you up to date with events in that one. Earlier on today, Celtic beat Hearts 1-0, 2-2 between Southampton and Fulham, 0-0 for Liverpool at home to Stoke after being beaten in the Europa League on Thursday, and Tottenham have beat Aston Villa by 2-0. Here, this is Cisse, close to the halfway line for Newcastle, and that was a bit of a lazy ball forward, just slinging it in the general direction of Ben Arfa, but easily intercepted by Raphael. Gutierrez now has possession. Deep midfield role for Newcastle. Again, they're trying to get Ben Arfa on the ball, and again Raphael comes across and just tackles him at source, and that goes out for a Newcastle throw.
Yep, he got close to him there. Ben Arfa has very, very limited effects in the game all the way through, but when he's managed to get Ferguson beside him, then they have got decent link-up play. But at the moment, since Valencia's come on, he's been just tied up completely. Ferguson's not got up, got beyond Valencia once, and that tactic's working. But give him a due, Ferguson's still trying to get up there, young full back there, but he's been tightly marked by Valencia. That's clever play by Valencia there. Very impressive.
A lot of talk during the week as to whether Alex Ferguson would pair Van Persie and Rooney together up front. People who see the team sheet, they'll see Welbeck in there as well. It's not quite. I mean, Rooney is still playing in behind Van Persie generally, Pat.
Well, at the moment, that's what happened, because Welbeck's gone a little bit further over to the left-hand side. There's been a slight adaptation. I have to say, I think Van Persie's had an incredibly quiet game.
Yeah.
Very, very little effect in the game. His hold-up play's been average to poor most of the time. It's just one of those games that's just slightly passed him by, which is usually a very, very dangerous sign.
This is Cabaye. Pat's expecting Van Persie to pop up with something special. Now a shot from distance from Ben Arfa, and it looked as if it flicked a deflection somewhere, but it's out for a goal kick. The goalkeeper didn't dive. It was heading towards the bottom right-hand corner, but a couple of yards wide of the target. But that's the first shot in a long time in anger from Newcastle, who are about to make a double change now.
I'll try and not sound too aghast. Young Ferguson's been taken off. He looks gutted there. I don't think he's done a thing wrong. What they'll do is they'll put Gutierrez probably back to left full-back, because he's now more worried about the attacking movement of Valencia. So Jonas Gutierrez will go to left full-back. It's a shame for the young man. And Sholam Obi coming on.
And Papis Cisse is the striker who makes way. And that means that he has now not scored in 9 Premier League games. Cisse, who did score in the Europa League on Thursday and has scored in the League Cup as well, but a couple of games last season, and then into this season it's now up to 9 Premier League games for a man who at one stage looked as if he couldn't stop scoring. So Amiobi, who did score as well during the week, comes on for Cisse up front, and Vuran Inita, the Dutchman, replaces Shane Ferguson. As Pat says, Gutierrez is going to go to left back, and Vuran Inita is a very small player. I mean, he's almost of sort of Sean Wright-Phillips dimensions. Is now into the centre of midfield.
Yeah, just sit in that area, and that's his favourite position there. He's actually playing up against Wayne Rooney, and considerably smaller than Wayne Rooney, who's not the tallest player in the world, but well, he's just learning the game over here, Anita, and getting used to the English game. I've seen him a couple of times, and the first time really wasn't very impressive at all. But never make that earlier judgment.
No, and I think Alan Pardew clearly fancies him, because since he's joined the club, he's played in every game so far. He's either started or come on as a sub. Newcastle United 0, Manchester United 2, 64 minutes on the clock. What chances of a Newcastle comeback do you think, Pat Neville?
I think they've been killed off by Charlotte Ferguson's change. I think all the excitement that was coming in the first 10 or 15 minutes was coming down this left-hand side. Charlotte Ferguson makes one little change, killed it. Absolutely killed it for Newcastle.
Here come Manchester United on the left. Everett just lays the ball off short to Rooney. Disguised ball surely offside against Van Persie, who puts the ball into the back of the net, but the linesman's flag is up, and it remains Newcastle United 0, Manchester United 2 on 5 Live in the World Series.
I think Wayne Rooney should be quite disappointed with himself there. He's played that through ball. It's a delightful little through ball, but I thought it was quite clearly offside, whereas far on the right hand side you're running in goal with Valencia, who was clearly onside, and he wasn't in goal.
Just wondering, Pat, when you said before about Van Persie being quiet today, have the fact that 2 defenders have scored the goals, is that masking a rather tame Manchester United attacking game?
Since about 35 minutes in, possibly. But then Man United have done the job.
Yeah.
Now it's up to Newcastle to go and ask them some questions. They have no real need to go and chase it and push it.
Oh, that's lovely by Gutierrez. Sent the ball one side of Valencia, ran around the other to collect it. His South American roots showing there. Now here comes Ben Arfa up to the edge of the penalty area. Surely Newcastle need something soon to make a game of this now in the last quarter. This is Tiote. He's still 15 yards, maybe a bit more outside the penalty area. Gives it to Anita on his right-hand side. Now back with David Santon. Pushes it on to Cabaye. Manchester United have plenty of players back. That's a decent ball into the penalty area. Shola Amiobi got up. He was closest to it. And the ball has gone out for a corner to Newcastle, which is interesting because even Ben Arfa was passing the ball back to De Gea. He thought it was a goal kick. The referee, I think helped by his linesman on the far side, has indicated a corner.
Well done. The officials there got that absolutely right for me. I think Evans gets a little nick. One of these slides that hardly changes the direction of the ball at all, but I think they've got it right there. But once again, the ball's played in high. It's 5 yards out. When it gets into the middle of the goal, De Gea makes no attempt to go and collect it. Probably a good idea.
Cabaye is going to take the corner. The 2 goals in this game came from corners down this end. Cabaye swings it in deep towards the back post, headed down by Williamson, and the referee says that Mike Williamson was climbing on the shoulders of Carrick, and he's awarded a free kick to Manchester United, which relieves all the pressure for them. Newcastle still trail 2-0.
A little bit of a shame, really, because the ball was played maybe slightly too deep there for Newcastle. You keep on saying it, you need to put it on top of De Gea there, get as many players going attacking that as possible, but there's no doubt there that was a free kick and a bit of a waste, really, for Newcastle.
Evans and Evra with the headed goals. Manchester United 2 in front here at Newcastle. A clearance from the goalkeeper De Gea, one in the air by James Perch. Rooney gets it back for Manchester United, and Tiote comes in and tackles him.
Do you know, how much better is he when he stops kicking people? Tiote just goes and tackles, closes down.
The ball, yeah.
Actually, the best thing that can happen to that lad is to get booked early on. Then he goes and starts and plays some football. He's been far better since he got booked.
As bizarre as that sound, there is complete logic to what you're saying, Pat.
Yes, yeah.
Gutierrez has done well here. Now gives the ball into Ben Arfa, breaking towards the edge of the penalty area. Newcastle trying to get a shot in, but Ben Arfa can't get around Ferdinand, who clears it away. We're midway through the second half. Newcastle United 0, Manchester United 2, and here is Alan Green.
And the number to call for 606 is 0500 909 693. Cabaye crosses into the Manchester penalty area. Ferdinand heads it away. Cabaye can't bring the clearance under his control. It's hooked up by Valencia. Tiote is there with Gutierrez, and then it goes back to the unfortunately named Anita. How do you get away from that one, Pat? I mean,
I'm just happy I'm not named Anita, I'll be fair.
Gutierrez forward, and then Ba shouldn't have got an opportunity there, but United were a little bit sluggish in defence. That's Manchester United. Here's Carrick down to Cleverley, on to Rooney. He's had a thoroughly professional game, Wayne Rooney, unselfish, largely in midfield. He's done absolutely everything you would have asked of him. Anita, though, for Newcastle with 21 minutes to go to Amiobi. Amiobi's touch wasn't great, but somehow the ball gets back to Anita, who then gives it away. And then it's given away by Welbeck on the far side of the field as well. He's helped out by Cleverley. Back to Johnny Evans, whose header put the Manchester side in front. Then it was added to by another header by this man Evra. Onto Welbeck. Evra again, midway inside the Newcastle half. Well done, Patrice Evra, captain today of his side. Back to Cleverley, into Welbeck. Midway inside the Newcastle half. And now Rooney. And Manchester United just Cabaye caught Carrick there off the ball. Cabaye's complaining that Carrick somehow winced, as if you're not going to. Now Raphael shoots left-footed. Did it squirt off a defender? I think it did. It's going to be a corner. And now Hardware is going to call. He's actually ticking off Carrick.
Well, he's telling Carrick that he's the referee, not Carrick. You know, and he turns around and has a go at Cabaye. Cabaye's actually had a couple of little naughty ones in the game.
I tell you what, he's a player that from experience, I know, you know, 1.5 eyes are watching the play, and the other half an eye is on Cabaye.
He leaves it late. He sometimes leaves a little bit in late in situations.
20 minutes to go. 2-0 to Manchester United, who've got this corner. Hooked in, left-footed. Oh, wasn't again particularly well defended by Newcastle, but somehow they get it clear to the halfway line, where it's with Evra. On to Rooney in the far side, down the left. And Cabaye had a little nibble at Wayne Rooney there, who held him off. Gets it back to Cleverley. Cleverley crosses deep. Brilliant goal. Fabulous goal by Tom Cleverley. He meant that. That was not a cross. That was a shot at goal. And it beat Harper on the line into the top right-hand corner. Brilliant from Cleverley. 3-0 to Manchester United.
Have a little look forward to the end of May. You will be watching that goal again, because that will be in the running for the goal of the season without even a shadow of a doubt. There is no way that was a fluke. Anyone else wouldn't consider putting a ball into the top corner there. Not dissimilar, was it Cisse who scored against Chelsea last year from a very similar angle, and that was an astonishing goal. Wonderful. That's a quality player.
Well,
wow.
I had no doubts in my mind whatsoever as soon as he hit the ball. He'd spotted that Harper had been moving towards his near post and cleverly aimed it at the far post. Perfection.
Do not miss that on the TV tonight. That is a fantastic goal. I want to see that from 8 angles. Wonderful play from Cleverley. Wow. Worth coming for that alone. But today, that's worth coming to see.
Yeah, really good. 19 minutes left for play. Newcastle United 0, Manchester United 3. Manchester United will go second in the table, above Manchester City in terms of goal difference and on the number of goals scored. They've scored more than the champions, and now behind only Chelsea, although to be fair, the gap is 4 points. Chelsea have started that well. But here come Manchester United again. Rooney, Tiote tried to intercept. Tiote then loses the ball to Valencia, and Valencia cleverly just lets it run out of play. He knows it's going to be a Manchester throw-in.
Strong lad, Tiote, isn't he? But he's up against a bit of a unit in Valencia as well. He's a powerful man.
A reminder of that number to call 606, which I'll be presenting from around about 6 o'clock, funnily enough. It's sort of in the title. 0500 909 693. Rooney from Van Persie. Rooney, well, the idea was right. The execution wasn't great. He tried to chip the goalkeeper, underhit it, and Harper catches easily. Alison Mitchell at the cricket.
Well, Nuwan Kulasekaran had just given 35,000 frantic Sri Lanka fans a glimmer of hope, taking 22 off one. Ravi Rampal over, but he's just holed out in the deep for 26 runs. Sri Lanka 96 for 8 now in the 17th over. Sri Lanka still needing 42 off 20, and the West Indies now know they're not far away from victory.
And if you really want to hear the cricket as opposed to this Barclays Premier League game featuring Newcastle United and Manchester United, you can switch to 5 Live Sports Extra. Ben Arfa tries to cross from the left, blocked by the body of Valencia. It's now with Kabai. Kabai towards Amiobi, and Evra heads it out of play. By the way, thanks to my producer, Alistair Yeomans, Tom Cleverly's second goal that was for Manchester United. The other one was against Newcastle in the League Cup.
Obviously lost playing against Newcastle. No, it was a fabulous goal. I mean, I'm sure you have a few calls for 606 about that tonight and how good a goal it was.
Excellent.
Another thing I think a few people might want to call in. How good has Rio Ferdinand been today? Absolutely effortless, and he's not in the England squad. And he's against two big lads and two strong lads up front.
I'm not surprised that he's not in the England squad, because I never thought that Roy Hodgson was going to pick him. What I'm offended by is either naivety on behalf of the England coach or buffoonery by the England coach.
You've been dying to get off your chest, haven't you?
You're just going to stand on the tube and say, Oh, you asked me about Rio Ferdinand? No, he's not going to be in my squad. No, his international career is probably over. As you do.
Oddly
My
enough,
goodness.
I'll not go as harsh on him because I'm a trusting soul as well.
You're far more trusting than I am. I'm just waiting for him to tell us that San Marino will be formidable opponents on Friday night. Now here's a yellow card for Perch for clattering into Van Persie. And it's a free kick to Manchester United, who with 16 minutes to go are winning ever so comfortably.
Well, they're cruising now. And it just, when you overlook the whole game, I think right at the start, Chappers was asking why Manchester United, finish games so well and don't often start as well. Well, obviously, the manager's realised that, and he's got his team out today, started very well, very positive, in the front foot, a lot of attacking players, and basically won the game in the first half.
By the way, as that free kick was being taken, there was a little exchange between, quote, the midfield enforcers for Newcastle, namely Tiote and Kabai, and Van Persie.
Well, he just came through. I mean, it's a booking for Van Persie there. I mean, he has a character that he can give out himself. Van Persie, he's not unknown to him to leave a
He has been yellow carded today, Van Persie.
He has been yellow carded, probably rightly so.
Quarter of an hour to go. Newcastle 0, Manchester United 3, and the Manchester fans up with the gods there. I think it's halfway to Everest, the away allocation here on Tyneside, away to our left. Valencia for Manchester United. This win is far more comfortable than they could have imagined. He tried to run past Kabai. Valencia went down.
I think that was
unaided.
a free kick. I don't know. I think it was a free kick.
Yeah. Anyway, Manchester United have the ball back. Van Persie back to Rooney towards Van Persie again, slightly underhit the pass, and as a result Kabai intercepts and he clears well to Tiote. Tiote midway inside his own half. Forward now to Amiobi, and now it's with Ba. Amiobi once more, who's hardly had any impact since he came on as substitute. Anita plays the ball behind Santon on the far side of the field. Santon has to retreat, gets it back to Williamson. It would be akin to Europe winning the Ryder Cup last Sunday for Newcastle to take a point here.
That would be a fantastic
miracle.
Comeback, yeah. The Newcastle fans are trying to make a noise now. They're trying to lift their players just to get something out of it.
Ian Poulter's coming on as substitute for Newcastle. Throw-in taken by Newcastle, and then it didn't reach Amiobi, and it's hooked away. What are you going to say?
Sadly, Manchester United have got the closest thing to Jack Nicklaus coming on as well.
Skulls. Little red-haired devil. Here's Ba into the Manchester penalty area, but Ferdinand's done a really good display. Takes it off and Ferdinand cleared. By the way, I would have Rio Ferdinand in the England squad, and he is right to be appalled by the developments of last week.
I just think you will get a few calls about 606 about that, particularly Ferdinand. Honestly, I'm watching him just now. I actually think he's probably about 70-80% fit at the moment. I don't think he's moving that brilliantly. It doesn't actually matter.
No.
He's read it so well.
He's reading the game so well. Williamson read that ball well, headed it back to his goalkeeper Harper, and we've got 12.5 minutes to go. And since you'll be jumping at the phones, I hope, 0500 99 693. Here's Gutierrez now putting it left back over the halfway line. Gutierrez to Kabay, back to Anita, and Anita drives it towards the right side. Not particularly well executed pass. Cleverly scored the third goal. Didn't get his pass right. Then there's a shot driven in. It takes a deflection, lifts over the crossbar, and it's behind for a corner to Newcastle United. Let's get an update from Alison Mitchell.
West Indies on the brink. Mendes has holed out a wicket for Samuels, and Sri Lanka 100 for 9 in the 18th over. 38 needed off 12. We've seen some tremendous and baffling celebrations from the West Indies. I can only imagine what they might do whenever they wrap this match up. But Sri Lanka down to their last two, 100 for 9 and needing 38 off 12.
Corner to Newcastle, driven into the Manchester penalty area, but Williamson couldn't control it. Half cleared, only to Anita. Back to Chiote. Chiote swings the cross in again. The header down, punched away by De Gea. I think there was before that.
Well, De Gea's gone down because he feels as if he was the tackle there and he was caught. To be fair, I don't think he was caught. I think he was missed. But it was a dangerous tackle, so yeah, the referee's got it right. But you know, if he was caught at all, he was grazed on the side of the leg. I think that's what he's suggesting. But for me, it certainly wasn't a kick or a harsh kick in there. He's got a little bit of a replay coming up there. He's grazed him in the most slight manner across his hip.
The only thing was Perch has already been booked just a few minutes ago for a tackle of Van Persie.
I think he has to go for that though. I mean, it's on the keeper. You know, the ball's not, the keeper's not got the ball, you know, and it's bouncing in between them. So I think he's got to go for that. Right. Not many players would argue with that.
Right, Scholes is coming on for Rooney, who I think has been exceptional.
You're not in a flashy way.
Not in a flashy way. Yeah. But I mean, they're the sort of performances actually I always crave from Wayne Rooney, you know? He doesn't have to be at the foot. Look, you know, Sir Alex has made it obvious what he thinks of Wayne Rooney's display with the way he greeted the player when he came off.
Oh, he's done that through his career, hasn't he?
Yes, he has.
You know, there are times when he gets stuck out in the left wing for a long time and he has to play second fiddle to, you know, various players over the years, and he's capable of being the core player, but you know, he seems to knuckle down and just do it. Great attitude.
Chiote's had all he's got to have. Pigeramana comes on, another midfield player, and he's saying to Anita, don't you get on the ball, son, too much, or something of that ilk. No, actually, I haven't seen a great deal of Anita, which made me think that he should be playing, you know, whether off the bench or at the start.
No, for Anita, for me, it's going to take a little while. You know, very difficult to control games in the Premier League, and if you're a sitting midfielder, he's a player who actually wants to do that. His style is like that.
But the pass there was awful.
What you don't do is give the ball away in the midfield like that. But I know I certainly will not make a decision too early on him, because I just get the feeling the way he moves the ball, there's something about him.
The way he moved the ball out over the touchline there for a Manchester United throw.
But his first movement was a dummy that left the player out completely alone.
I'd put a scud on it now, I'm sorry. I'm sure he'll turn out to be an exceptional player.
That's the point, yes.
Less than 10 minutes to go here on Tyneside. For some reason I don't mention the name of the stadium. Can't think why. But it's going to be called something else soon. Have you heard about the possible sponsorship? I'm not even going to mention it, because if we have to call it by that name, it'll be utterly ridiculous, even more absurd than the current naming of the stadium. It's over at the cricket, I think. Alison.
An almighty party has started on the outfield. The West Indies have won, dismissing Sri Lanka 101 all out in the penultimate over. The support staff have flooded onto the outfield. Fireworks burst up into the sky. This is the West Indies' first global trophy in 8 years. An amazing match. They'd only scored 32 runs in the first 10 overs of their innings, but they have recovered and they have won by 36 runs to win the World 2020.
Manchester United lead Newcastle by 3-0 here. I mean, we didn't like that snapping challenge from Paul Scholes. but Amiobi kept the ball initially. Now it's back with Williamson via Anita. Now to Perch to the near side in Gutierrez into the latest Newcastle substitute, Bigirimana, and now it's with Ba. But they're so unconvincing, Newcastle United today.
Again, I just felt that Sir Alex Ferguson spotted any weaknesses that developed, in his team and where the strength was in Newcastle team, and killed it.
I thought they'd be quite strong in midfield, but that is not the way it's been.
No, it hasn't been. I mean, I just think they started with a rather negative attitude.
Here's Van Persie onto Valencia. Valencia is so quick. Gutierrez coming across. Valencia has the ball under control. Right at the penalty area. Newcastle crowd's gone down, I think, after colliding with Van Persie. And well done, Valencia. Well done. Valencia, despite the fact that his team were on the attack, he just put the ball out of play.
I suspect this might be a story.
Cabaye has gone down. Do you remember I said a couple of minutes ago about words between Van Persie and Cabaye and Tiote?
I'll tell you what, Van Persie, if he has elbowed him, a camera will catch it somewhere. Surely a camera will catch it.
I don't think Hard Webb has seen it.
Well, clearly not. Clearly not.
But if Hard Webb hasn't seen it, and if it has happened, well,
we're watching it here. Well, 6 and 2 threes, I would say. I think both of them were at it.
It's difficult, but it would mean if the referee hasn't spotted anything and hasn't produced a card, then the FA can step in.
They can. But I don't think either of them have covered themselves in glory. I think Cabaye pushed himself. This is well off the bottom. They're at it again. And Howard Webb, the game's going on up the other end, and Webb's arguing with Van Persie. And Cabaye's noising Van Persie and the referee up as well. I suspect that one might not be finished.
No, because there's 7 minutes left plus added time here. You're listening to 5 Live in the World Service on the BBC. The West Indies have won the T20 cricket, and Manchester United taking all 3 points here on Tyneside to go second in the table behind only Chelsea, above Manchester City. Ben Arthur's had a really ineffective game. I've seen him when he's been terrific. Not so today. Loses the ball and it goes back to De Gea.
I'm surprised he stayed in the field, to be honest today.
Well,
he's really ineffective.
The youngster Ferguson have been doing so well. I don't see why they didn't push Gutierrez wide and take Ben Arthur off.
Absolutely, 100%. I think it's because of the fear of maybe what Valencia could do going forward, but in actual fact Valencia's played within himself, just killed the space and killed the area.
Here is Gutierrez over the halfway line inside the centre circle, switches direction but doesn't fool Rafael, who heads the clearance to Valencia. Valencia over the halfway line. Van Persie's down there. Great clever ball in towards Welbeck. 2 defenders went to meet it, and between them Williamson and Perch won that ball and cleared to Newcastle. But it's a relatively silent stadium by the time. That's a pull back by Ben Arfa.
I think what everyone realises, Alan, is the fact that it's completely controlled now by Manchester United. They're not putting themselves out in any way. They're just holding on to the ball. They're not committing too many players forward. That time they went forward, there was 3 players forward, but very noticeably Carrick, Cleverley and Paul Scholes just stood back, 40, 50 yards behind the play. They're not chasing it. There is absolutely no need to.
Yeah, Newcastle won this corresponding fixture in January by 3-0, and Manchester United is saying, all right, take that and that and that. Carrick to Cleverley, score of a quite brilliant third goal for Manchester United. Do watch it a match of the day too tonight. Ferdinand back to De Gea, whose lack of conviction in terms of dealing with crosses into his penalty area not really exposed. Ball breaks to Cleverley in the centre circle. Back to Scholes.
Well, I think that's a yellow card, don't you think?
Is that Bigirimana?
Yep.
He caught Cleverley.
He just wants to join the club. There's been a lot of those. If you're a midfielder and not booked today, you feel very left out.
Scholes takes the free kick, aimed at Valencia. Did it hit Gutierrez? No, but that didn't stop Valencia claiming the Manchester United through. Goodness, I hate that. I really hate it. I know they all do it now, but for goodness sake. Another Manchester United change. Giggs is coming on to replace Van Persie. And well done, Sir Alex.
Yeah.
Because I think that's saying, hey, Robin, you're in danger of losing it. Come on, off.
No, exactly. And we both agreed there that that's not finished. Between him and Cabaye, It's quite noticeable that Cabaye was spending less time playing the game and more time trying to be in the vicinity of Van Persie. He was trying to get something going there. So again, good management. There's managerial decisions that are made throughout games that you can almost kind of pass over you, but they can be very, very important, not just for the game, but I mean, for the future, for the next few games, for the next competition and tournament.
Sir Alex knows he doesn't need Van Persie out there, and he's just acknowledging the roaring of his name from the travelling support here for Manchester United. Balls up towards Ba. Oh, goodness gracious, he's hardly been in the game either. And now Johnny Evans scored the first Manchester United goal, comes forward on the attack and then almost trips in the ball. No, Johnny, you weren't tripped. You tripped on the ball. And it's cleared by Newcastle. Cabaye plays it to the left side, and Ben Arfa. Can he atone for a pretty woeful 87.5 minutes preceding this? No, he can't. Losing possession.
Yeah, they need all the best players playing well. Cisse, almost invisible. Ba, very poor. Ben Arfa, certainly the worst game, the poorest game, and least effective game I've ever actually seen him play. And if you've got the 3 of your top players there just really not at the races, not turning up, you're not going to trouble Manchester United.
Amongst the issues that might come up during Sports Report, quote Chelsea, quote, should England press conferences be held at Euston Station from now on, in front of anybody who's passing through, getting off the train from Watford? Who knows, we might get more information from the coach. Here's Bass shooting from long range, and De Gea gathers it very easily. And of course, the performances of your teams today and yesterday. Here's Scholes. Do you think Euston Station is a good venue? Well, there's plenty of eating facilities around there.
Do you use the train much?
I don't go to England press conferences. What a waste of time they are. Evra coming forward for Manchester United. The pass was not right for Cleverley, but it's collected by Valencia just outside the Newcastle penalty area. Teased by Gutierrez, beats 2 defenders into the penalty area, dinks the cross in towards the far post beyond Welbeck, and it's still in play actually, and it's taken away by Santon.
It just shows you the gears that Manchester United have had in reserve today. Brought Valencia on, and he's played well within himself. It just shows a little spark now and again that he's jogging back now. He's on to do a job, fill in, kill space, and there are Man United players that know when they have to go 100% and when 50-60% will do.
I haven't seen a great deal of Manchester United so far this season, but from what I've been reading and hearing, they haven't been playing that well. I think they've played really well today, and this is the sort of form that will take them close to the league title.
I have absolutely no doubt about that, but even when they weren't playing well, I have to say,
winning games,
I wouldn't have been worried about them at all, because there's enough there.
There's Paul Scholes with his customary challenge, foul challenge on Amiobi.
Thinking about, well, he's had 2 tackles and both of them been absolutely nowhere near the ball, and
he's going to get booked, of course. And he puts his hands in his head, but I'm afraid it's just not good enough to say he can't tackle. He knows how to tackle.
But except that he can't. It's just
what I mean is he foul tackles too often. 4 minutes of added time. It would hold up
nothing nasty about that tackle there, by the way. It was just rubbish.
Yeah, it was just poor, really poor. 0500 909 693. Newcastle typically this afternoon waste the free kick. And here's Valencia from Manchester United, holding off Ben Arfa, turning away from Ben Arfa, flicking it beyond Cabaye. Carrick is there. Gutierrez does well, keeping the ball in play, playing it back to Perch. And Perch, a little pass to Gutierrez again. Newcastle United 0, Manchester United 3. 2 headed goals in the first half from Evans and Evra, and then a wonderful goal by Tom Cleverley.
Yeah, it was fantastic. I suppose one of the things that's jumping out at me about Newcastle here just now, remember last year it was a fantastic season for them, and you wonder if they push on from there. To be honest, they're a distance away at the moment from certainly the top 4. I don't know if they'll be the team challenging.
They're on their attack now. Ba, though, misreads the run of Santon and is behind for a goal kick to Manchester United.
That's what they always say, Alan. If you may have the same team out the next season, but you actually need to add to it quite a bit. You need to stride on from there. I don't think Newcastle have done. Now I'm gauging them by the 2 matches that I've watched very closely, and they had to see them against Chelsea and against Manchester United, and there is a big gap. I don't expect them to be right up there close to the top 4 like they were for long periods last season.
I'd be very surprised if they're top 6 this season.
Yeah,
so comfortably no worse than mid-table.
Yeah, absolutely. But the likes of Everton seem to have taken over them in that sort of area.
Aren't Everton playing well, Pat?
Oh, fantastic. I mean, I think a number of reasons for it, and one of the reasons was, they sell one player to Manchester City, getting enough money to get 3/4 and replace
spend it wisely.
Spend it brilliantly.
Ball's out of play on the far side of the field for Newcastle throw-in, and there are many empty seats now here on Tyneside. The ball back with Williamson. Williamson to Perch. 2 minutes of added time remaining. Anita plays it forward, and then it's driven towards the left side. Raphael defending, heads it away. Gutierrez onto that headed clearance, and it's back with Cabaye. And Cabaye swings a good ball forward towards Anita. Anita to Amiobi on the far side of the field. Ba rushes forward into the penalty. Amiobi trying to get past Evra. Dinks the cross in. He did really well. But it's running towards the near side. Ben Arfa just about keeps it in play. His cross, left-footed, into the Manchester penalty area. Another header away to Santon. Santon back. And then Anita forward. Scholes is in again.
Oh, he got it clean that time.
Challenge that
he got it clean that time.
That would be quite a quick red card, wouldn't it? If he picked up a second yellow. The pass wasn't great for Cleverley. And now it's with Amiobi. Amiobi has Giggs with him. Giggs gets in a tackle, but I thought he might have won a goal kick off Amiobi, but it's a corner according to the assistant on the far side of the field. We're inside the final 40 seconds here. Newcastle United 0, Manchester United 3. Cabaye searching for consolation for the home team to take the corner from the right. There it is, swung in very deep for Williamson. Williamson heads it down, but the ball had gone behind the goal line initially, so it was a woeful corner hit by Cabaye, and it's a goal kick to Manchester United.
Really skill about Manchester United, the way they've killed this, isn't it? The players that you've hardly mentioned in the game just play sensibly. Carrick, which have played in that area, killed all the space, not giving them a half a yard to Ba or Cisse or Amiobi. They're just not getting it, and that's all about people knowing their positions, playing them well, and also the manager getting the right place.
There's another example. As at the end of the first half, referee waits for the goal kick to be taken. It's into the air, and then he blows the whistle to signal the end of the game, and it could not have been easier for Manchester United.
Yeah, little period just maybe at the end of the first half, and Newcastle upped it a little bit, and then I would say 10 minutes after the start of the second half is obviously the manager got into them a little bit, but a couple of tactical changes by Sir Alex Ferguson, and also the fact that Manchester United, when they had to step it up a bit, they stepped it up a bit. Long way ahead, and some of the top players didn't even play anywhere near the best today. They didn't need to. 3-0, two corner kicks, as you say, but it'll be remembered for anything. It'll be remembered for Cleverley's goal. That was stunning and worth the entrance fee, even if you're wearing black and white.
And that was the third Manchester goal in this triumph. Newcastle United 0, Manchester United 3.
Next up for Newcastle, it is Sunderland. Alan Green and 606 on the way.